Welcome, traveller of the waking world. You have journeyed far today, moving through the noise and the light, carrying the weight of the hours upon your shoulders. But here, in this sanctuary of sound and shadow, there is no weight to carry. There is only the soft velvet embrace of the night and the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. Close your eyes now. Let the heavy curtains of your eyelids fall, shutting out the demands of the day, sealing you within a warm, safe cocoon of stillness. Feel the surface beneath you. It is rising to meet you, solid and supportive, grounding you as your spirit prepares to drift. Imagine that the air around you is turning a deep twilight blue, a colour that smells of rain and cool stone. With every breath you take, you're inhaling peace, and with every breath you release, you're letting go of tension. Let it flow out of your fingers, out of your toes, dissolving into the ether. You're becoming lighter, less dense, turning into a form of pure consciousness, ready to float upon the river of dreams. Tonight, we shall drift into a world that exists within the wires and the waves of light, a universe constructed of pure imagination. We're going to explore the vast digital cosmos known as Roblox. But we will not approach it with the frantic energy of a player. No, we shall approach it like a ghost drifting through a grand library, observing the history, the textures, and the very fabric of this digital reality. We will float through its timeline, touching the smooth edges of its polygons, admiring the architecture of its code, and resting in the spaces between the pixels. It is a story of creation, of a universe born from nothing but logic and dreams. So, settle in deeper now. Let your mind become a blank canvas, ready to receive the soft strokes of this story. Let the silence of the room wrap around you like a heavy blanket. You are safe, you are calm, and together we begin our descent into the dream. Imagine, if you will, a time before the universe we know as Roblox even possessed a name. Cast your mind back to the year 2004. It is a quieter time, a world where the internet is still a wild, burgeoning frontier. In this era, two architects of the digital realm, David Baszucki and Eric Castle, began to sketch the blueprints for a new kind of reality. Picture them in a small, dimly lit room, the hum of computer fans providing a steady white noise backdrop to their thoughts. They were not building a game, not yet. They were building a simulation of physics, a way to mimic the real world within the confines of a screen. Visualize a screen glowing with a soft cathode ray blue. On this screen, there are no characters, no avatars, only shapes. Crude, two-dimensional shapes interacting with one another. This was the primordial soup of what would become a galaxy. They called this early tentative project Dynablocks. Let that word roll through your mind, Dynablocks. It feels technical, structural, like the heavy metallic clanking of machinery coming to life. Picture these early blocks as sketches on a piece of drafting paper, lines of graphite forming squares and circles, waiting to be given the breath of 3 dimensions. It was a time of pure potential, where the laws of gravity and collision were being written by hand, line by code-filled line, in the quiet solitude of creation. From this blueprint, the concept began to harden, to take on a more solid, recognizable form. The name Dynablocks felt too rigid, too tied to the laboratory of physics. The creators wanted something that spoke of play, of construction, of a symbiotic relationship between the machine and the maker. And so, the name shifted. It morphed, dissolving the old letters and rearranging them into something new. Visualize the letters floating in a void of darkness. R-O-B-L-O-X. Roblox. Consider the etymology of this word as you lie there in the stillness. It is a portmanteau, a blending of two distinct concepts, robot and blocks. Picture a small mechanical automaton moving with precise clockwork gears, holding a perfect wooden alphabet block in its metallic hands. It represents the perfect marriage of automated logic and human creativity. The robot is the engine, the code that runs quietly in the background, obeying every command without fail. The blocks are the medium, the clay from which worlds are sculpted. This name change marked the transition from a mere physics experiment to a toy box of infinite depth. It was a softening of the identity, an invitation to come and build, to stack one dream on top of another until they touch the digital sky. Time flows forward like a slow stream, carrying us to the year 2006. This is the year the gates were officially opened. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast empty plain. The sky above is a simple gradient blue, fading into a white horizon. The ground is a flat green plate stretching out endlessly. This was the launch. The universe was small then, intimate. There were not millions of travellers, but only a handful, pioneers stepping into a brave new world. Visualize the simplicity of this era. The complexity of modern graphics did not exist here. Everything was smooth, geometric, and uncomplicated. The sun in this digital sky was a simple circle, casting simple shadows. It was a time of innocence. If you were there, you would hear the silence of the server, broken only by the footsteps of a few dozen other dreamers. It was a digital hamlet, a small village where everyone knew everyone else. There was no noise, no chaos, only the gentle ambition of building a house, a wall, or a bridge. Feel the nostalgia for this simpler time, a time before the sprawl, where the world felt manageable, cozy, and contained, like a small garden surrounded by a high wall. As this world began to turn and breathe, it needed a way for its inhabitants to trade, to value the things they created. And so, a currency was born into the ether. We know it today as Robux, but the history of value in this world is textured and rich. Visualize a coin. It's not made of cold metal, but of green light. It spins slowly in the air, a hexagon of value. This is the Robux. But in the ancient days, there was another. Drift back to the memory of the ticks or tickets. Picture them as golden rectangular slips of paper, glowing with a warm amber hue. They were given freely, a daily reward just for existing in this space. Imagine the feeling of logging in, the screen flickering to life, and the gentle cha-ching sound of 10 tickets being added to your pocket. It was a generous economy, a time of abundance where patience was the only cost. Although the ticks have since dissolved into the mist of history, leaving only the green Robux behind, the memory of that golden light remains, a nostalgic warmth in the hearts of those who walked these lands in the dawn of their creation. Behind the curtain of every green field and towering castle in this universe lies a workshop, a hidden dimension where the magic is truly crafted. This is known as Roblox Studio. Imagine stepping through a door labelled Create. You enter a space that looks like an architect's dream. The air here smells of ozone and graphite. Before you is a vast empty grid, a chessboard waiting for pieces. This is the realm of Lua, the coding language that acts as the spellbook for this universe. Visualize the text editor, a black screen where lines of white, blue and red text cascade like a digital waterfall. Local function, end, print. These are not just words, they're incantations. When a creator types a line of Lua, they are bending reality. They can tell a block to vanish when touched, or make the sky turn purple at midnight. Feel the power of this quiet creation. It is the meditative act of writing logic, of creating cause and effect. The sound of typing in this studio is rhythmic, like rain on a roof. Click, 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 building a bridge, scripting a sunset, breathing life into a statue. It is a place of infinite focus, where the mind can lose itself in the logic of creation. And who is the traveller that walks through these scripted worlds? Let us visualize the avatar. In the beginning, there was a form so iconic, so simple, that it has become a symbol of the platform itself. Picture the noob. It is a figure of perfect geometry. A sphere for a head, a cylinder for a torso, blocks for limbs. Visualize the colours. They are bright, primary, and soothing in their simplicity. The skin is a sunny, cheerful yellow. The torso is a deep ocean blue. The legs are a vibrant, grassy green. This figure possesses a charming clumsiness. It has no fingers to grasp, no complex expressions, just a permanent, simple smile. As the years passed, these avatars evolved, gaining joints, gaining layers, becoming more human-like with the R15 and R-Throw models. But tonight, we focus on that original blocky form. It represents a blank slate, a universal vessel. It is not a specific person, it is everyone. It is the shape of the soul when it enters this digital plane, unburdened by identity, ready to become anything. As this yellow figure moves through the world, it interacts with the environment, and with interaction comes sound. There is a sound in this universe that echoes more profoundly than any symphony. It is a short, sharp exhalation of surprise, the oof. Though it has changed over the years, replaced by new audios, the memory of that original sound hangs in the air like a ghost. Imagine the sound now, stripped of any context of failure. Hear it as a resonance, a deep, wooden, hollow sound, like a mallet striking a bamboo tube. It was the sound of reset, of trying again. It was a sound recorded by Tommy Tallarico, a snippet of audio that travelled from a totally different studio into this vast metaverse. It became a language of its own. When you hear it in your mind, let it be a rhythmic percussion, a soft thud. It signifies not an end, but a pause, a moment to catch your breath before rising again. It is the heartbeat of the early era, a sonic anchor that millions recognise instantly, vibrating gently in the collective memory. Now let us float toward one of the very first locations ever constructed, a place called Crossroads. Imagine a suspended platform floating in a grey, hazy void. The structures here are not realistic buildings, they are abstract playgrounds. Tall towers made of grey bricks, winding ramps that defy architectural safety, and bridges that span over nothingness. The textures here are reminiscent of early computer graphics, pixelated studs on the top of every block, like the surface of a building toy. There is a tactile sensation here. If you were to run your hand along these walls, you would feel the bumps of the studs, the cool plastic smoothness of the surfaces. This place was an arena of chaos and joy. Objects would fly through the air, swords that sparkled, rockets that left trails of white smoke. But in our slow observation, we see it frozen in time, a statue of play. The colours are muted greys, offset by the bright primary colours of the avatars running across them. It is a monument to the joy of physics, of pushing things over just to watch them fall. A digital kindergarten where the laws of reality were learned through laughter. From that single point of crossroads, the universe exploded outward, expanding, multiplying, fracturing into infinity. We now drift into the concept of the infinite library. Imagine walking down a hallway that never ends. On either side of you there are doors. Not hundreds of doors, not thousands, but millions. Tens of millions. Each door leads to a different dimension. One door leads to a bustling city of pizza chefs. The next door opens into a dark, foggy forest where a flashlight is your only friend. The next is an obstacle course floating in the pink clouds of a candy kingdom. This is the experience catalogue. It is a testament to human creativity at a scale that is difficult to comprehend. Every second, a new door appears. Every second, a new world is born. As you float down this corridor, realize that you could never visit them all. It is a universe that grows faster than you can travel. But this is not overwhelming. It is comforting. It means there is always something new, always a mystery waiting behind a polished wooden door, a never-ending bedtime story written by millions of authors. Among these millions of worlds, there are times when the community comes together, drawn by a singular purpose. Let us visualize the tradition of the egg hunt. Imagine the season of spring arriving in the digital realm. The lighting in the worlds becomes softer, pastel hues of lavender, mint, and pale yellow washing over the landscape. In this time, creators hide treasures. Visualize a collection of eggs, but these are not ordinary eggs. They are intricate works of art. One might be made of clockwork gears, ticking softly. Another might be encased in crystal, glowing with an inner starlight. Another might be wearing a tiny top hat. The hunt is a slow, methodical search. Picture yourself walking through a tall field of virtual grass, parting the blades with your hands, looking for the glint of a hidden shell. It is a global game of hide and seek. The feeling here is one of shared discovery. When you find one, a soft chime plays, a sound of accomplishment. It is a gathering of the tribes, a festival of collection where the prize is not power, but a beautiful, fragile object to hold in your inventory, a memory of the spring preserved in digital amber. And as the sun sets on the hunt, we drift further into the velvet night of celebration. Imagine a grand auditorium, a space carved out of darkness and lit by the crossed beams of 1,000 spotlights. This is the home of the Bloxy Awards, a ceremony that exists outside of time, a gathering of the most brilliant minds and the most dedicated dreamers. Visualize the red carpet, a river of crimson fabric stretching endlessly towards the entrance. It is soft underfoot, woven from digital silk, muffling the sound of footsteps. Here, the creators arrive not in flesh, but in their finest avatars, adorned in tuxedos of midnight blue and gowns that shimmer like the aurora borealis. There is a hush in the air, the kind of heavy, expectant silence that fills a theatre before the curtain rises. Imagine holding a trophy in your hands. It is heavy, cool to the touch, a golden block fitted with wings, symbolizing the flight of imagination. These awards are the crystals of recognition, freezing a moment of brilliance in time. To float through this space is to feel the collective pride of a universe, a place where the applause sounds like the gentle rushing of wind through trees, celebrating the art of the build and the code. Leaving the Grand Theatre, we drift through a doorway that leads into a space of infinite variety, a realm known as the Avatar Shop. Picture a walk-in closet that has no walls, extending forever into the horizon. Here, the concept of identity is fluid, hanging on racks of light. This is the repository of all fashion, a museum of hats, shirts, and faces. Visualize the textures here. You might reach out and touch a fedora, feeling the wide brim, the fabric patterned with sparkles that blink slowly like distant stars. Or perhaps you drift towards the section of wings, where feathers made of white light layer over one another, soft and angelic. There is a sense of quiet commerce here, a peaceful browsing. You might see the Valkyrie helm, smooth, cold metal with wings extending from the sides, a relic of ancient warrior myths brought into this modern grid. It is a place of transformation, where you can shed your yellow skin and become a knight, a creature of the deep sea, or a being made entirely of fire. The air here smells of new clothes and polished metal, the scent of reinvention. From the quiet contemplation of the closet, we follow the scent of yeast and warm tomatoes into a bustling, cozy kitchen. We have arrived in the world of work at a pizza place. Visualize a small brick building with a checkered floor, warm and inviting against the digital night. Inside, there is a rhythmic, hypnotic efficiency. Watch the dough. It starts as a pale, round sphere. It travels down a silver conveyor belt, moving with a steady mechanical hum. Whir, clunk, whir, clunk. It passes under a dispenser where sauce falls like a heavy red rain, spreading in a perfect circle. Then the cheese, a shower of white confetti. Finally, the oven. Imagine the heat radiating from the open door, a glowing orange warmth that toasts the crust to a golden brown. There is no stress here, only the satisfaction of a job well done. You watch the boxed pizzas stack up, white cardboard towers of comfort food, ready to be driven in small trucks to the waiting houses. It is a loop of service and creation, a simple, savoury life where every task has a beginning and a delicious end. The scene shifts now, the warmth of the oven fading into the cool, salty breeze of an island. We find ourselves standing on the shores of natural disaster survival. But do not fear, for in this dream, we are untouchable observers. We are watching the cycle of nature from a cloud. Below us is a green island, perhaps with a tall glass tower or a humble schoolhouse. The sky begins to change. Visualize the colour draining from the blue, replaced by a brooding heavy grey. Clouds swirl together. A storm is coming. But there is a cosy feeling in this danger. The feeling of being indoors while rain lashes against the window. You watch the avatars on the island scurry for shelter, finding safety in the corners of buildings. Maybe a flood rises, the water level climbing slowly, a rising tide of blue swallowing the land inch by inch. Or perhaps a tornado spins, a grey funnel dancing across the terrain, disassembling the Lego-like structures piece by piece. It is a mesmerising destruction, blocks tumbling in slow motion, a reminder of the temporary nature of things. When the storm passes, the sun returns instantly, a bright reset washing the island in peace once more. Drifting higher into the atmosphere, we encounter artifacts of immense rarity, floating in the void like sacred relics. These are the Dominus hats. Picture a hood, deep and voluminous, made of a fabric that seems to swallow the light. The face is hidden, obscured by eternal shadow, with only two glowing eyes peering out from the darkness. These items are the crown jewels of this universe. Visualize the Dominus Imperius, white and gold, radiating a holy aura, or the Dominus Infernus, black and red, smouldering like dying embers. They carry a weight of prestige. To wear one is to wear a fortune, to be a king among dreamers. In our journey, we can examine them closely, tracing the gold filigree on the edges of the hood, feeling the heavy drape of the digital cloth. They sit in the silence of their own value, ancient and mysterious, like statues of forgotten gods that watch over the economy of the world. As we descend from these heights, we land in a construction zone, but one of prestige. We are visiting the memory of the Builders Club. Visualize a hard hat, not a scratched, dirty one, but a pristine, shiny helmet. Some are yellow, the standard workers, others are orange, the turbo builders, and the rarest are black, the outrageous architects. This club was the inner circle of the early days. It was a ticket to a daily allowance, a slow trickle of wealth that accumulated like sand in an hourglass. Imagine the feeling of belonging to this guild. It was a badge of honour, a symbol that said, "I am here to build, I am here to stay." Though the name has changed to premium in the modern era, the spirit of the Builders Club remains, a brotherhood of construction, a hard hat resting on a table, waiting for the master builder to return and sketch the next great monument. The landscape stretches out now, flattening into the dusty, sun-baked roads of a desert. We are floating over Jailbreak, but here the sirens are muted, a distant lullaby. We see the stark contrast of the world, the grey, concrete walls of the prison and the wide, open freedom of the outside world. Visualize the light here. It is a harsh, bright desert sun, casting long, sharp shadows behind the cacti. We see a helicopter rising slowly into the air, its blades spinning with a hypnotic rhythm. Thwoop, thwoop, thwoop. Below, a small blue car speeds down a highway that stretches to the horizon. It is a game of cat and mouse, but from our vantage point it is a ballet. The cops in their blue uniforms, the prisoners in their orange jumpsuits, moving in patterns of pursuit and escape. It is the eternal dance of rules and rebellion, played out under a vast, cloudless sky that promises infinite adventure. From the dusty desert, we float into a world of soft pastels and gentle curves. We have arrived in Meep City. The colours here are like candy, mint greens, baby pinks and sky blues. It is a world designed not for conflict, but for hanging out. Visualize a small, floating creature. a sphere with big expressive eyes. This is a meep. It floats beside its owner like a loyal balloon. There is a calmness here. Picture a fishing rod cast into a still blue lake. The bobber sits motionless on the water's surface, creating tiny ripples. Players stand side by side, not fighting, but simply existing together. They are decorating houses, choosing wallpaper, placing sofas. It is a digital dollhouse, a place of domestic bliss where the only goal is to make things beautiful and to be with friends. The air feels sweet here, like cotton candy, and the background music is a soft, looping melody that hums of childhood summers. In all these worlds, there is a mechanism that keeps the air clean, a silent guardian known as the filter. Visualize it not as a piece of code, but as a fog. When words are spoken that are too sharp, too harsh, or too dangerous, the fog rolls in. It transforms the jagged edges of angry words into a simple string of hashtags. Visualize these pound signs floating in the air like bubbles. They are a shield. They represent silence where there would have been noise. They are the white noise machine of the platform, filtering out the chaos and leaving only the safe, acceptable communication. It is a protective barrier, invisible but ever-present, ensuring that the dream remains a safe place for the travellers who wander here. It is the hush that falls over a library, the quiet please sign that keeps the atmosphere peaceful. Finally, for this leg of our journey, let us observe the bodies of the travellers themselves. We spoke of the blocky noob before, but now we witness the evolution, the shift from R6 to R15. Imagine the old avatars. They moved like tin soldiers, 6 rigid parts, arms swinging like pendulums. But then, magic was breathed into the joints. Visualize the R15 avatar. It has elbows, it has knees, it has a spine that can bend. Watch a figure dancing in slow motion. You can see the fluidity now, the way the foot flexes as it touches the ground, the way the torso twists as they turn to look at a sunset. It is the difference between a puppet and a dancer. This evolution brought grace to the world. It allowed for expression, for subtle movements, a wave, a shrug, a deep bow. It made the digital inhabitants feel less like pieces of plastic and more like living, breathing entities, capable of inhabiting the complex worlds they built. Rest here for a moment. Watch the fluid motion of the avatars, the soft glow of the desert sun, the sparkle of the fedoras. The universe is vast, and we've only just begun to chart its stars. Let the images wash over you, and as we marvel at the newfound grace of these digital bodies, the way their joints bend and their feet find purchase on the ground, we realize that a body is merely a canvas. It is a mannequin waiting to be adorned. In the earlier epochs of this universe, the clothing was painted on, simple pixels pressed flat against the skin. But as the timeline unfurls, we witness the dawn of a new era, the age of user-generated content. Visualize a vast, bustling bazaar, a marketplace that exists in the clouds. Here, the stalls are not run by the faceless machine, but by the dreamers themselves. This is the shift that allowed the artisans of the community to forge their own treasures. Imagine a backpack. It is not just a texture anymore, it has weight. It has depth. You can see the stitching on the straps, the way the fabric sags slightly under the gravity of the items it holds. Picture a sword slung across a back. It is sheathed in a scabbard of obsidian and gold, the hilt intricate and wrapped in leather. These items, the wings made of autumn leaves, the hats shaped like sleeping cats, the headphones that pulse with neon light, are the handiwork of creators who spent hours sculpting polygons into art. Feel the texture of this creative freedom. It is the feeling of walking into a tailor's shop where every bolt of cloth and every spool of thread is available to you. Before this era, the fashion was limited, dictated by the few. Now it is infinite, dictated by the many. A player can sketch a concept in the morning, perhaps a pair of vintage sunglasses or a crown made of floating ice crystals, and by the evening, thousands of other souls can wear this dream upon their heads. It is a democratization of style, a grand masquerade ball where the masks are crafted by the guests themselves, each item telling a story of a specific imagination brought to life in 3 dimensions. From the quiet appreciation of these artifacts, we drift seamlessly into a lobby, a waiting room that smells of polished wood and mystery. The air here is thick with anticipation, but of a cozy, huddled sort. We have arrived in the realm of Murder Mystery 2. Do not let the name startle you, for in this dream state it is merely a game of sophisticated hide-and-seek. Visualize the lobby. It is often a warm, enclosed space, perhaps a factory or a mansion, filled with crates and corners. There is a fireplace crackling in the centre, casting a flickering orange glow on the faces of the avatars gathered around it. They stand in silence, or perhaps dance gently, waiting for the round to begin. There is a tension here, but it is a playful one, like the holding of breath before a surprise. 3 roles exist in this dance, assigned by the whisper of the code. Imagine the sheriff. They carry a revolver, silver and heavy. It is not a weapon of war, but a tool of protection, the only thing that can stop the shadow. Then, the innocent. To be innocent is to be a survivor. You feel the thrill of finding a hiding spot, crouching behind a stack of boxes, tucking yourself into a dark alcove. It is the childhood joy of being hidden, of hearing footsteps pass you by and knowing you are safe. And finally, the murderer, the one with the knife. But visualize the knives. They are not grim steel. They are vibrant, collecting items. Some look like icicles, others like rainbows, others like shards of deep space. When the round begins, the world falls silent. It is a game of listening. You hear the soft thud of shoes on the carpet. You hear the metallic shing of a knife being drawn. It is a ballet of evasion, a slow-moving puzzle of trust and deduction, played out in the corridors of a digital manor, ending always with the reset, the return to the warm fire of the lobby. As the mystery fades and the lobby dissolves, the atmosphere changes completely. The shadows retreat, replaced by a soft nursery pastel light. The air becomes sweet, smelling of milk and honey. We are floating into the phenomenon known as Adopt Me. This is a world dedicated to the act of nurturing. Center your mind on the nursery. It is a round, welcoming building, filled with rows of cribs. But in these cribs, there are no babies, only eggs. Visualize an egg. It is large, reaching up to your waist. Its shell is smooth, perhaps spotted or striped, glowing with a faint rhythmic pulse. It is warm to the touch. You must care for this egg. You must feed it when it is hungry, put it to bed when it is sleepy, take it to the hot springs when it is cold. Feel the slow, rhythmic passage of time as you tend to this shell. It is a lesson in patience. You walk through a town painted in vibrant, cheerful colours, bright red bridges, blue rivers, trees that look like clouds of green cotton candy. And then, the moment of cracking. A white light fissures across the surface of the egg. The shell falls away, dissolving into stardust, and in its place, a pet. Maybe it is a dog, simple and brown, wagging its tail with joyous loops. Maybe it is a unicorn, its mane shimmering with pink and teal light. Or perhaps a dragon, not of fire and rage, but of cute, rounded scales and wide, friendly eyes. These creatures follow you. They are companions in the truest sense. You can pick them up, cradle them in your arms, or ride upon their backs. The economy of this world is built on trade, yes, but at its heart it is built on the love of small virtual things. It is the digital equivalent of a warm puppy falling asleep in your lap, a world where everything is safe, soft, and designed to be held. Leaving the bright town of pets, we ascend. We float upwards, past the clouds, until we reach a castle floating in the ether. It is a place of high fantasy and high school drama, a realm known as Royale High. The aesthetic here is one of unbridled elegance. Everything glitters. Visualize the texture of a ball gown in this world. It is voluminous, layer upon layer of lace and silk, responding to the physics of the wind. As you walk, The skirt sways and ripples like a liquid flower. The lighting here is perpetual twilight or soft, romantic dawn. There are diamonds floating in the air, literally. Gems of pink, blue, and green hover above the ground, rotating slowly. To collect them is to walk through a field of fireflies, each one chiming softly as it is gathered. This is a world of transformation. You enter a dorm room, a private sanctuary that you can design. You place a 4-poster bed with sheer curtains. You set a vanity table with a mirror that reflects a magical version of yourself. Here, you're not just a player, you're a fairy, a mermaid, a royal heir. You can equip wings. Visualize these wings, translucent like dragonflies, or feathered like eagles, spanning wide across your back. They beat slowly, keeping you aloft. The school itself is a place of classes, but the classes are games, baking cupcakes, balancing books on your head. It is a gentle role play, a space to inhabit the fantasy of being special, of being magical, surrounded by fountains that spray sparkling water and gardens that never wither. From the glittering heights, we descend into a darker, more mysterious narrative, but we approach it with the calm detachment of a dream. We enter the house of Piggy. Though it is a game of escape, let us view it as a complex spatial puzzle. Imagine a house with many rooms. The doors are locked, the windows are barred. To leave, you must find the keys. Visualize a key in your hand. It is oversized, color-coded, a bright red key. You hold it tight. You must find the red door. You walk through the hallways, your footsteps quiet on the floorboards. You are listening. Somewhere in the house, there is a pursuer, but in our slow observation, the pursuer is just another moving piece on the board, a patrolling guard. The satisfaction here comes from the click of the lock. You find the door, you insert the key, and the barrier dissolves. Then you find a wrench. You use it to turn a bolt on a ventilation shaft. Squeak, turn, the vent opens. You crawl through, hidden and clever. It is a game of wits. You are a mouse in a maze, outsmarting the cat. There is a communal feeling when you work with others, one person distracting the guard while you run to the safe to punch in the code. It is the thrill of the heist, the joy of the escape, the feeling of freedom when the final gate opens and you step out into the cool night air, the puzzle solved, the house left behind in silence. We drift away from the house now, moving toward a structure that floats in the void, a ribbon of colour stretching into infinity. These are the obbies, the obstacle courses. They are the purest form of gameplay, a distillation of movement and rhythm. Visualize the course. It is not made of realistic materials, but of neon shapes. Bright pink cubes, electric blue cylinders, glowing green trusses. They float against a skybox that might be a galaxy of stars or a simple, calming gradient. The action here is rhythmic. Jump, land, jump, land. It is a metronome for the fingers. You press the spacebar and your avatar rises, defying gravity for a second, before landing on the next platform. There is a profound simplicity in this. There are no enemies to fight, no puzzles to solve, only the geometry of the path. You walk across a beam as thin as a tightrope. You hop across disappearing platforms that blink in and out of existence like fireflies. And then, the checkpoint. Visualize a flat grey square on the ground. When you touch it, it turns green. Ping, a sound of safety. If you fall, you do not perish. You simply return to the green square, ready to try again. It is a lesson in persistence, a meditative loop of trial and error. Up and up you climb, the stages becoming more complex until you reach the end. Usually a pile of treasures, a path that speeds you up, or a simple sign that says winner. It is the satisfaction of the journey, of seeing how far you have climbed above the void. From the active jumping of the obby, we transition to the passive, hypnotic growth of the tycoon. This is a genre of accumulation, of watching an empire rise from a single button. Visualize a plot of land, empty and flat. In the center, there is a machine, a dropper. It creates a small grey cube, cash. The cube falls down a chute, slides along a conveyor belt and passes through a collector. Ching! Your money counter goes up. You step on a button on the ground. It is red. As you step on it, it turns green, and with a mechanical whoosh, a wall appears. This is the rhythm of the tycoon. You're building a factory, a skyscraper, a zoo, or a superhero base, but you build it by waiting. You watch the conveyor belts hum. You watch the money pile up. Then you run over the buttons. Zip, zip, zip. And the world constructs itself around you. Walls rise up from the ground. Windows snap into place. A second floor appears. New droppers begin to produce gems instead of cubes. It is deeply satisfying to watch the complex machinery of the base churn and work. It is a garden of industry that you water with your patience. You can stand still and watch your wealth grow, a passive observer of your own success, listening to the steady rhythmic clinking of the economy you have set in motion. We leave the industrial hum of the factory and travel to the quiet suburban streets of Welcome to Bloxburg. Here, the pace slows down to a crawl. It is a simulation of the quiet life, a place of domestic architecture and simple jobs. Visualize a plot of land again, but this time, you are the architect in total control. You enter build mode. The world turns into a grid. You place a wall. You choose the texture, perhaps a white shiplap or a warm red brick. You place a window, watching how the light falls through it onto the floor. You choose a sofa, a bookshelf, a potted plant. You are building a home, but to build, one must work, and the work here is meditative. Picture yourself on a small yellow moped. You are a pizza delivery driver. You drive down the winding roads past the houses of other dreamers. The trees pass by, green and lush. You stop at a house, deliver the box, and receive your pay. Or perhaps you're a cashier at the grocery store, scanning items with a rhythmic beep, beep, beep. There is no urgency. When the sun sets in Bloxburg, the streetlights flicker on, casting warm pools of yellow light on the pavement. You return to the house you built, you cook a virtual meal, and you sit on your virtual porch watching the digital stars come out. It is a fantasy of stability, of a life where effort leads directly to a beautiful, comfortable sanctuary. Suddenly, the quiet suburban silence is broken by a bass line that shakes the ground. The sky transforms, turning into a kaleidoscope of lasers and smoke. We're entering the era of the live event, the massive virtual concert. Imagine standing in a crowd, not of hundreds, but of millions. But there is no crushing weight, only a sea of avatars looking up. On the horizon, a figure appears. It is a musician, but gigantic, towering higher than the mountains. They are not flesh and blood, but a hologram of light and motion. When they sing, the world reacts. Visualize the environment changing to the beat. Gravity might turn off, lifting everyone into the air, floating in a neon void. The ground might turn into a rushing river of gold. During the Lil Nas X concert, or the 21 Pilots experience, reality was fluid. You were not just watching a show, you were inside the music. Particles of light drift like snow. Fireworks explode in time with the drums. It is a shared hallucination, a moment where the boundaries between the artist and the audience dissolve. You're small, but you're part of something massive, a witness to a spectacle that could never exist in the physical world, where the performer can hold the sun in their hands and throw it into the sky. As the music fades and the giant figures dissolve back into the code, we are left with the silence of the aftermath. And in this silence we notice a small, simple feature that has been with us through every journey. The chat bubble. Visualize the space above an avatar's head. It is usually empty, clear air. But when a thought is typed, a shape appears. A white oval, crisp and clean. Inside, the text appears in a simple black font. Hello? Follow me. Look at this. This bubble is the voice of the metaverse. It is transient. It appears, it lingers for a few seconds, allowing you to read the thought, and then it pops, vanishing back into nothingness. It is a visual representation of speech. In a crowded room, you see a sea of these bubbles popping up and down, a frothing ocean of conversation. It feels safe. It is communication without the noise of 1,000 voices. It is polite. It waits to be read. It allows for a disconnect, a pause between the thought and the expression. Watch the bubbles rise and fall like breath in cold air, the silent dialogue of 1 billion friendships being forged in the quiet text of the cloud. Let these images settle in your mind, the white bubble fading, the neon lights of the concert dimming, the warm brick of the Bloxburg house cooling in the night air. We are drifting deeper now, and as those white bubbles of conversation drift upward and pop, dissolving into the digital ether, they leave behind something more permanent, a residue of connection that binds the travellers of this universe together. We drift now toward the concept of the friend list, a constellation of souls you have gathered on your journey. Visualize a menu, simple and dark, scrolling down like a list of ships in a harbour. Each name represents a memory, a person met in a pizza parlour, a partner in a heist, or a rival on the racetrack. There is a profound comfort in the symbol of the green dot. Picture this small emerald circle appearing next to a name. It is a beacon, a signal fire lit on a distant mountain saying, "I am here, I am awake, I am dreaming within the machine." When you click that name, a button appears. Join. Consider the magic of this single action. In the physical world, to find a friend requires travel, time, and coordination. Here, it is instantaneous. You dissolve from your solitary space and rematerialize by their side. One moment you're alone in a grey void, and the next you're standing on a sunny beach or in a bustling city, right next to the avatar of someone who knows you. It is a teleportation of the spirit. The list itself is limited, 200 souls, making each slot valuable. Befriending someone is a deliberate act, a handshake that spans continents. It is the weaving of a social web that turns the cold, infinite vacuum of the server space into a neighbourhood, a place where you are never truly lost because there is always a green light guiding you home. As you travel with these companions, achieving feats and discovering secrets, the universe acknowledges your journey with tokens of remembrance. We turn our gaze to the phenomenon of the badge. Visualize a small rectangular notification sliding silently up from the bottom corner of your vision. It arrives with a soft, triumphant sound, a gentle chord that signifies completion. These are not merely icons, they are digital fossils, moments frozen in amber. A badge might depict a golden key, signifying you unlocked a secret door. It might show a mountain peak, proving you climbed to the highest point of the world. Or perhaps a simple welcome, a badge given just for stepping foot onto new soil. Imagine opening your inventory and looking at your collection. It is a scrapbook of your life in the machine. Each image is a window back to a specific second in time. You can look at a badge from 5 years ago, a pixelated image of a haunted house, and suddenly you remember the fear, the laughter, the specific texture of that night. They are the breadcrumbs you have dropped along the path, proving that you were there, that you did something, that you existed in that space. Some are easy to find, scattered like seashells on a beach. Others are hidden deep, requiring days of effort, known as the impossible badges. To possess one of these is to hold a rare jewel, a secret shared between you and the creator, a silent nod of respect for your persistence in the face of the puzzle. Sometimes, however, the goal is not to achieve, but simply to exist, to sit still and let the atmosphere wash over you. We drift now into the genre of the showcase, or the vibe game. These are worlds built not for playing, but for feeling. Imagine a room that exists in a perpetual state of rainy twilight. You're in a high-rise apartment in a cyberpunk city. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, neon signs in pink and blue flicker through the downpour. You can see the droplets racing down the glass, blurring the lights of the flying cars below. The soundscape is crucial here. It is lo-fi, a slow, looping beat that thrums with a dusty, nostalgic warmth. Thump, thump, hiss, thump, thump. In these worlds, there are no enemies. There is no health bar. There is only the vibe. You find a spot, perhaps a beanbag chair in the corner, or a seat by the window, and you press a key to sit. Your avatar settles into a pose of perfect relaxation, chin resting on a hand, watching the virtual rain. The lighting is soft, volumetric, casting long, hazy beams through the room. Dust motes dance in the air. It is a digital sanctuary, a place to go when the real world is too loud. You can stay here for hours, just watching the animations of the environment, feeling the simulated solitude wrap around you like a warm, heavy quilt. It is the art of doing nothing, perfected and rendered in high definition, a testament to the beauty of quiet spaces. From the solitary quiet of the apartment, we float out into a sun-drenched meadow, filled with the buzzing of 1,000 tiny wings. We've arrived in the pastoral world of Bee Swarm Simulator. The air here smells of clover and sugar. The ground is a patchwork of flower fields, sunflowers, dandelions, blue flowers, each swaying gently in the wind. Visualize the bees. They are not frightening insects, but cube-shaped friends with wide, happy smiles. They float around you in a colourful cloud. Some are yellow, the worker bees. Others are red, fiery and energetic. Some are blue, cool and calm. There is a hypnotic rhythm to this existence. You walk through the field, your tool collecting pollen. Scoop, scoop, scoop. The pollen fills your backpack. When your bag is full, you return to the hive. Visualize the honeycomb, a hexagonal lattice of golden wax. You convert the pollen into honey. The sound is thick and satisfying, a liquid pouring. Honey is the currency here, a sweet golden substance that allows you to grow. You climb the mountain, discovering new zones, a pineapple patch, a pumpkin patch, a spider field. It is a world of gentle progression. There is no violence, only nature and industry working in harmony. You plant a sprout and watch it grow into a giant flower. You catch fireflies at night. It is a busy life, but a happy one, filled with the collective hum of your swarm, a sound that vibrates with the promise of sweetness and growth. As we bound across these flower fields, we notice that our movement feels different, lighter. We are exploring the concept of gear, specifically the physics-altering coils. Visualize holding an object in your hand, a spring, wound-tight, glowing with a vibrant, translucent teal light. This is the gravity coil. When you hold it, the laws of the universe shift around you. You take a step and suddenly you are floating. A simple jump becomes a slow-motion ascent, lifting you high above the trees. You hang in the air for a moment, weightless, suspended in the blue sky, before drifting gently back down like a feather. The sensation is dreamlike, a liberation from the heavy pull of the earth. Now switch the item. The teal fades, replaced by a bright, energetic orange. This is the speed coil. The energy changes instantly. The world around you begins to blur. You tap the forward key, and you're no longer walking, you're rushing. The wind whistles in your ears. The landscape streaks by. Green grass becoming a smear of emerald, blue sky becoming a ribbon of azure. It is the joy of momentum. You're a comet streaking across the map, untethered and free. These items are the toys of physics, simple tools that turn movement into a playground, allowing you to bounce and sprint through these digital dreams with the boundless energy of a child. Our momentum carries us forward until we reach the heavy oak doors of a mysterious hotel. We step inside, out of the rain, into the atmospheric world of doors. Though this place holds tension, we observe it now through the lens of safety and design. The atmosphere here is heavy with old-world luxury. The carpets are patterned in deep reds and golds. The wallpaper is peeling slightly, revealing the history of the place. Lightning flashes outside, illuminating the long, endless hallway for a split second, casting long shadows that stretch across the floor. Thunder rumbles, a deep bass sound that you feel in your chest. We focus on the guiding light. In this labyrinth of 1,000 doors, there is a benevolent force. Visualize a soft blue glow. It emanates from drawers, from keys, from the correct path. It is a silent helper, a spirit of guidance that whispers, "This way." And then, the closets. When the lights flicker and the distant roar of the rush entity approaches, you find a wardrobe. You step inside. The doors close. You're enveloped in darkness. Through the slats of the wood, you see the world rush by. But you are safe. Encased in wood and shadow, you wait. The storm passes. You step out, unharmed. It is a rhythm of tension and release, a game that plays with the primal instinct to hide, turning a simple cupboard into the most comforting place in the universe. Leaving the dusty halls of the hotel, we find ourselves in a space of pure, colourful indulgence. A world of cubes and coins. This is the realm of Pet Simulator. But here, we do not focus on the pets, but on the satisfaction of the break. Visualize a pile of coins in the centre of a grassy field. They are gold, embossed with paws. Your pets, a kitten, a calf, a mythical griffin, rush toward the pile. They tap it. Now, listen to the sound. It is a crisp, rhythmic popping. Pop, 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 tink, clatter. As the pile's health drains, it shatters. The explosion is a shower of loot. Diamonds, gold bars, and coins burst outward like a fountain, defying gravity for a moment before being magnetized to you. It is a sensory feast of abundance. The numbers flying off the pile are colourful and large, ticking up into the millions, billions, trillions. There is a deep, primal satisfaction in this accumulation. You are breaking open a piñata that never runs out. You move to the next area, a candy land, a tech world, an underwater reef, and the piles change. Now you are breaking treasure chests, safes, giant cupcakes. The loop is endless and hypnotic. The visual noise of the exploding coins acts like white noise, a chaotic but comforting screen of progress that requires nothing from you but to watch your collection grow. Beneath all these coins, beneath the hotel floorboards and the flower fields, lies the very skin of the world. We turn our attention to the terrain editor, the brush with which the gods of this universe paint the land. Imagine you are standing in a void. You hold a tool that controls the elements. You select Grow. You sweep your hand across the empty air and rock swells into existence. It looks organic, craggy, and rough. You're sculpting a mountain in seconds. You switch the material to grass. The rock is instantly carpeted in a lush green texture that seems to sway in a phantom breeze. Now you select water. You paint a valley, and instantly a blue liquid fills the space. It has a surface that reflects the sky. It has waves that lap against the shore. You can dive into it, the murky blue surrounding you, light refracting through the surface. The tool allows for erosion, letting you carve caves and canyons with a gentle touch, smoothing the jagged edges into rolling hills. This is the Bob Ross experience of the metaverse. There are no polygons here, only smooth voxel-based matter. To use these tools is to feel the power of geology in your fingertips, watching a world rise from the ocean, dry out, become a desert, and then bloom into a forest, all in the span of a few peaceful breaths. High above this sculpted terrain, floating in the void of the sky, lie islands made of blocks. We drift to the strategic, suspended world of bedwares. But let us strip away the combat and focus on the architecture of the match. Visualize an island floating in the sky. In the center there is a generator. It drops iron and gold ingots with a rhythmic metallic clanking. Clang, clang, clang. This is the heartbeat of the base. Behind you is the bed. It is a simple object, a red pillow and a white sheet. But in this world, it is your soul. It is your anchor to existence. As long as the bed remains, you are immortal. You can fall into the void and return. So, you build. You buy wool, blocks of soft white fabric. You encase the bed, layer upon layer, wood over wool, obsidian over wood. You're building a cocoon of safety. Then, you bridge. Picture the act of bridging. You look down at the abyss, the infinite drop. You place a block. You step onto it. You place another. You're walking on a thread of your own creation, connecting your island to the diamonds in the centre. The wind howls up here. The clouds drift by below your feet. There is a vertigo to it, a thrill of precariousness. You're a skywalker, dancing between islands, protecting your soft, sleeping anchor from the scissors of the enemy. Finally, as we rest on our sky island, we look up. We observe the passage of time itself, the day-night cycle, and the lighting engine that illuminates all these dreams. In the early days, the light was flat, a permanent high noon. But now, the universe breathes with time. Watch the sun. It is a blinding white orb. As the server time ticks forward, the sun begins its descent. The shadows of the trees lengthen, stretching out across the grass like long, dark fingers. The light turns golden, the golden hour simulated in perfect fidelity. The colours of the world warm up, shifting from stark blues to oranges and purples. Then the sun dips below the horizon. The skybox changes. The stars emerge, pinpricks of static light in the velvet dome. The moon rises. It might be a realistic moon, cratered and cold, or a blocky square moon. The light it casts is blue and cool. This cycle grounds the experience. It tells your brain that time is passing, that this world is real enough to have a clock. And with the new technology, the future is bright lighting. The shadows are soft. The light bounces off coloured surfaces, casting a red glow on the wall next to a red rug. Light shafts pierce through windows. To watch a sunrise in Roblox is to witness a daily miracle of code, a reminder that even in a digital world, the light will always return to chase away the dark. And as the digital moon climbs higher, bathing the blocky landscape in its silver glow, we drift further into the memory of the machine, and within that silver glow, amidst the silence of the moonlit digital night, we become acutely aware of the sound of our own presence. We drift now to the sensory experience of the footstep, the audio feedback that grounds the avatar to the earth. In the early silence of the platform, the world was quiet, but now the ground sings beneath you. Imagine walking across a floor of polished marble. Listen to the sound, clack, clack, clack. It is a sharp, clean sound, echoing slightly as if in a great hall. Now, step off the marble and onto a patch of deep green grass. The sound shifts instantly. It becomes soft, a muffled crunch, 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 like dry leaves or fresh snow compressing under weight. Shift again, this time onto a wooden bridge. The sound becomes hollow and resonant, a deep thud, thud, thud that speaks of timber and carpentry. This dynamic audio, known as the material service, adds a layer of tactile reality to the dream. You're not just floating, you're making contact. If you were to walk across a metal grate, you would hear the metallic clang of boots on steel. If you walked on sand, you would hear the shifting, gritty whisper of the grains displacing. It creates a rhythm to your journey, a percussion track that plays only when you move. It tells your brain what surface you're touching without you ever feeling it with your hands. It is a subtle, hypnotic drum beat. Grass, stone, wood, sand, guiding you through the dark, confirming with every step that you are here, you are solid, and you are moving forward. As you step firmly upon these changing surfaces, you might notice a peculiar phenomenon that occurs the moment you arrive in a new world. Visualize the force field. This is the aura of absolute safety. When an avatar first materializes or spawns into a chaotic world, The universe grants it a few seconds of invincibility. Visualize a translucent, shimmering bubble wrapping around your body. It glows with a faint electric blue light, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. The texture of this light is like a force of magnetism, humming softly. While you're encased in this shell, nothing can harm you. Explosions may ripple around you, swords may swing through you, but you are a ghost, untouchable and serene. It is a moment of grace, a pause granted by the code to allow you to get your bearings. Watch the hexagon pattern on the force field shimmer and rotate, a geometric shield of light. It represents the concept of sanctuary. No matter how dangerous the world you've entered, be it a battlefield or a disaster zone, you always begin in a state of peace. You're given a breath, a moment to adjust your camera, to look around, to prepare. And then, slowly, the blue light fades. It dissolves into the air, leaving you exposed but ready, having been cradled for those first crucial seconds in the protective arms of the system. Once the force field fades, you look up. Above the mountains, above the skyscrapers, above the floating islands, there is a boundary. We turn our eyes to the skybox. In this digital reality, the sky is not a vast empty vacuum, but a painted canvas wrapped around the world. Visualize a classic skybox. It is a deep, saturation-rich blue, scattered with perfect, fluffy white clouds. These clouds do not move. They are frozen in a moment of eternal fair weather. They are paintings of clouds captured at the height of a summer afternoon. There is a comfort in this stasis. No storm will ever brew in this specific sky. The sun will never be obscured. It is a promise of perpetual calmness. But the skybox can change. In other worlds, you might look up to see a galaxy of purple and pink nebulae, stars swirling in a static dance of cosmic dust. Or perhaps a realistic sunset, where the horizon is forever painted in bands of burning orange and fading violet. This sky's the wallpaper of the dream. It creates the mood, the temperature of the world. Because it is a box, a cube mapped with images, there is a sense of containment. You're not lost in an infinite abyss. You're in a room painted to look like infinity. It holds the world together, a beautiful, seamless barrier that cradles the simulation in a permanent state of awe. From the air we descend. We move toward the shoreline where the digital sand meets the liquid glass of the ocean. We are entering the state of swimming. In the older days, water was a block that killed you, or a phantom you walked through. But now the water is a medium. Visualize stepping off the dock. The moment your feet touch the surface, the physics change. You sink, but slowly. The gravity shifts. You are now buoyant. The camera dips below the surface and the world transforms. The crisp, sharp colours of the land are replaced by a murky blue-green haze. The sounds of the outside world, the wind, the birds, the footsteps are instantly muffled, replaced by the low, rushing white noise of being underwater. Watch the light refract through the surface. Shafts of sunlight pierce the water, dancing on the sandy floor below. Your avatar's movements change. You're no longer running, you're treading. Your arms sweep out, pushing the liquid aside. Your legs kick in a slow, rhythmic frog kick. You can dive deeper, exploring the silence of the deep, where coral reefs made of neon blocks glow in the twilight. To swim here is to fly in slow motion. It is a suspension of weight, a cooling of the senses. You can float on the surface, bobbing gently with the waves, a small speck in the vast blue-breathing ocean of the server. Eventually you drift back to shore and climb onto dry land. You stop moving, you release the keys. And here, in the stillness, the idle animation begins. An avatar is never truly frozen. Even when you're doing nothing, the spark of life remains. Visualize the default idle. The chest rises and falls with a gentle rhythmic breath. The head turns slightly, scanning the horizon, as if looking for a friend. The arms sway just a fraction. It is a subtle reminder of consciousness. But there are other ways to rest. Imagine equipping the levitation animation pack. When you stop moving, your feet gently leave the ground. You hover, suspended a few inches in the air, defying gravity. Your body tilts back slightly, arms drifting out, as if you are meditating in a deep trance. Or perhaps the toy animation, where your movements become stiff and mechanical, like a doll when the playtime has ended. These idle states are the poses we strike when we are waiting. They are the body language of the digital soul. They allow for personality to shine through even in silence. To watch a row of players standing still is to watch a gallery of statues, each one breathing, floating, or posing in a unique rhythm, waiting for the spirit to return and command motion once more. We leave the individual and zoom out to the neighbourhood. We find ourselves on a wide, tree-lined street in the phenomenon known as Brookhaven. This is a world of domestic fantasy, but we focus specifically on the magic of house spawning. Imagine walking up to a vacant lot. It is a patch of green grass, marked by a sign. You stand before it and open a menu. You choose a home, perhaps a modern glass mansion or a cosy wooden cottage. You press a button. In the real world, building takes months of noise and labour. Here it is a silent, instant miracle. Visualise the house materialising. It does not pop in all at once. It constructs itself in a rapid, fluid animation. The foundation lays itself down. The walls rise up like flowers blooming from the earth. The roof unfolds and settles into place. The windows slide into their frames. In the span of 3 seconds, a home is born. You walk to the front door and it unlocks for you. Inside, the fire is already crackling in the fireplace. The books are already on the shelves. It is the ultimate nesting instinct, satisfied instantly. You have claimed a piece of the world, planted your flag, and built a sanctuary with a single thought. It is a profound feeling of ownership and belonging, created from nothing but code and desire. From the quiet suburb, we travel to a place of engineered thrill, but we observe it in slow motion. We are at the base of a great steel structure in Theme Park Tycoon 2. We are looking at the roller coaster chain lift. You sit in a cart strapped in by a safety bar. The ride begins not with a scream, but with a click. Clack, 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 clack. The cart engages with the chain. You begin the ascent. This is the most hypnotic part of the ride. You're tilted back, looking up at the sky. The world below you begins to shrink. The people become dots. The trees become bushes. There is a mechanical rhythm to the ascent that is deeply soothing. It is the sound of anticipation building slowly. You rise above the park, seeing the layout of the paths, the other rides spinning like tops in the distance. The wind gets stronger. You're climbing a mountain of steel. At the very top there is a moment of silence. The clicking stops. You hang there, suspended at the apex, looking out over the entire digital horizon. It is a moment of total perspective, a god's eye view of the joy below before gravity takes hold. But let us stay here, at the peak, in that pause between the climb and the fall, suspended in the high, thin air of the simulation. The perspective shifts violently now. We shrink. We shrink down until we are the size of a mouse. We have entered the world of giant survival or hide-and-seek extreme. Everything ordinary has become majestic. You're standing on a kitchen table, but it feels like a vast wooden plane. A cereal box towers above you like a skyscraper, its colourful logo stretching up into the clouds. A spoon left on the table is a silver bridge, shimmering under the giant ceiling lights. To explore this world is to rediscover the wonder of the mundane. You run across a carpet that feels like a dense, woolly forest, the fibres rising above your head. You hide behind a stack of books which form a fortress of knowledge. The dust motes floating in the air are the size of snowballs. There is a coziness to being this small. The world feels protective, enclosing. You can tuck yourself into the corner of a bookshelf hidden in the shadows, watching the giant entities move in the distance. It is a return to childhood, to the feeling of playing under a table, where the furniture legs were pillars of a temple and the floor was an ocean. It is a shift in scale that makes the smallest corner of a room feel like an entire universe waiting to be mapped. In the centre of these vast worlds, there is often a single grounding point, a texture that every traveller knows. We focus on the spawn location decal. Visualise a grey, flat plate on the ground. It is made of plastic studs, but on top of it, painted like a fresco, is a symbol. It is a circle, a sunburst, or a star. This is the seal of the spawn. It is the first thing you see when you enter a world, and the place you return to when you are reset. Think of the texture of this image. It is often slightly pixelated, a relic of an older time. It represents the home of the level. In the chaos of an obstacle course or a battle, this plate is holy ground. To touch it is to save your progress. It glows with an invisible warmth. When you stand on it, you're at the beginning. It is the alpha and the omega of the gameplay loop. It is a simple graphic, perhaps just a logo, but it carries the weight of a checkpoint. It says, "You are here, you are safe, you can begin again." It is the welcome mat of the digital front door, worn smooth by the feet of millions of travellers arriving from the void. Finally, we look at how we reach out and touch this world. We observe the proximity prompt. In the past, we had to touch things with our bodies to use them, but now there is a more elegant interface. Visualize approaching a car or a door or a light switch. As you get close, a small floating UI element appears. It is a circle with a key inside it, usually the letter E. It hovers in the air attached to the object like a spiritual tag. It waits for you. When you press and hold the key, watch the magic happen. The circle begins to fill. A white line traces the circumference, completing the loop. It is a tactile sensation of charging up an action. It takes a second. Hold, 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 click. The circle completes and the action fires. The door swings open. The car engine starts. The light turns on. This mechanic adds a sense of weight to your actions. You're not just instant, you are deliberate. You're making a choice to interact. It creates a connection between your finger on the keyboard and the hand of your avatar in the world. It is the use button made visible, a gentle invitation to reach out and manipulate the dream, one filling circle at a time. Rest here in the quiet interaction of the prompt. The circle fills, the action completes, and the world responds. We drift deeper, and as the white line of the proximity prompt completes its circle, sealing your intention with a satisfying click, the object you have interacted with transforms. It does not just activate. Often, it travels. It moves from the world into your possession, appearing instantly in the inventory strip at the bottom of your vision. We focus now on the concept of the hotbar. Visualize a row of 10 grey squares, translucent and neat, resting at the bottom of your screen like a dock. This is your backpack, your utility belt, your pocket. It is the interface between your hands and the world. When you pick up an item, a flashlight, a compass, a map, it occupies one of these slots. Watch the subtle animation as you press the number key 1. The grey square lights up, a soft highlight of selection. Instantly the item appears in the right hand of your avatar. There is a weightless efficiency to this. You can swap from a lantern to a book in the blink of an eye. There is a rhythm to managing this space, a quiet organisation. You might rearrange your tools, dragging the most important ones to the left, creating a personal order out of chaos. When you wish to be empty-handed, to walk with your arms free, you press the backspace key. The tool vanishes, tucked away into the invisible pocket of the code, leaving your avatar's hands open and ready. It is a system of perfect storage, where you never feel the burden of what you carry, only the potential of having exactly what you need, right at your fingertips. From this digital backpack, you select a specific item, a square, flat box that smells of warm cardboard and cheese. We're observing the iconic pizza box. In the vast culinary landscape of this metaverse, this item is a relic, a symbol of shared sustenance that transcends the need for actual hunger. Visualize the box. It is open, revealing a pepperoni pizza with a texture that is charmingly low resolution. The pepperoni slices are perfect red circles, the cheese is a flat golden yellow, but the magic lies in the interaction. You click your mouse, your avatar lifts the slice to its face, and then the sound. Listen closely to the memory of it. Om nom nom. It is a playful, exaggerated chewing sound, cartoonish and brief. As you eat, the pizza in the box diminishes. Slice by slice, it vanishes, until only the grease-stained cardboard remains. It is a communal ritual. In the lobbies of games, in the break rooms of tycoon factories, players gather to share a box. It is a peace offering. You might hand a slice to a stranger, a silent gesture of friendship. It represents the simple joy of a break, a pause in the gameplay to engage in the universal human act of eating, even if the food is made of light and sound. It is a comfort food for the soul, a pixelated snack that brings a smile to the face of anyone who hears that familiar rhythmic crunch. To wash down the meal, you reach into the hotbar again and withdraw a cylindrical object, glowing with a vibrant, familiar red. This is the Bloxy Cola. It is the nectar of this digital universe, a beverage that has existed since the dawn of the physics engine. Hold the can in your hand. It is a simple cylinder, perhaps with a label that wraps around it in a lo-fi texture. The top is silver. When you activate it, you hear the sharp hiss-crack of the tab being pulled. It is the sound of pressure releasing, of refreshment. Then, the drinking sound. A long, exaggerated, slurping noise, followed by a contented sigh. Ah, there is something deeply relaxing about this loop. You're standing on a virtual beach, or atop a skyscraper, just sipping a soda. The can does not just disappear. Often, your character tilts their head back, fully committing to the act. In a world of swords and sorcery, of lasers and speedruns, the Bloxy Cola is an anchor of the mundane. It grounds you in a relatable reality. It is a prop for roleplay, a tool for chilling out. To hold it is to say, I am not in a rush. I am just here to enjoy the view. It is the pause button in liquid form, a can of fizzy nostalgia that never goes flat. Refreshed, you look around for a place to rest your legs. You spot a bench, a chair, or perhaps a driver's seat. You approach it and engage with the sitting mechanic. In the real world, sitting is a complex adjustment of muscles. Here, it is a magnetic snap. As your avatar touches the edge of the seat, the universe takes over. You're pulled gently but firmly into the correct position. Your legs bend at a perfect 90-degree angle. Your arms rest on your lap or on the armrests. It is a moment of total alignment. There is a profound satisfaction in this snap. It is the feeling of fitting perfectly into the world. You're no longer sliding around. You're fixed, anchored. Whether it is a throne in a medieval castle or a plastic chair in a school cafeteria, the posture is identical. It creates a sense of order. Rows of players sitting in a bus, all facing forward, all moving in unison. It allows for passive travel, for waiting without impatience. When you're seated, you are an observer. You can spin the camera around your character, admiring the world from a stable pivot point. It is the stance of the passenger, the student, the king, a state of static rest amidst the motion of the server. But often, the seat you choose is not stationary. It is bolted to a chassis with 4 rubber tyres. We are climbing into the classic Jeep. This is not a high-performance simulation of a modern car. It is a celebration of loose, bouncy physics. Visualize the vehicle. It is open-topped, angular, usually painted in military green or a bright toy-like red. You snap into the driver's seat. The engine starts with a low rumble hum. You press the W key. The acceleration is instant, but feel the suspension. It is springy, almost elastic. When you hit a bump, the Jeep doesn't just shudder, it bounces. It launches into the air, wheels spinning freely, before crashing back down with a heavy, satisfying thud. Driving this machine is a conversation with the terrain. You feel every hill, every dip. The steering is sharp, sometimes tipping the vehicle onto two wheels. It is a joyous, chaotic ride. You're driving through the canyons of a vast map, the wind whipping past. If you flip over, there is no explosion, just a turtle-like struggle until the physics engine rights you again. It is the freedom of the open road translated into blocks, a journey where the destination matters less than the bouncy, unpredictable, laughter-inducing drive. Sometimes, in your driving exploration, you travel too far. You reach the edge of the world. The ground ends, the grass stops, there is only the horizon, and you drive off. We are entering the void. In other dreams, falling is a nightmare. But here, in the safety of the simulation, falling into the void is a peaceful, cleansing experience. Watch as the island shrinks above you. The sky, usually a dome, reveals itself to be a sphere. You're tumbling into the below. The colours shift. The bright blue of the sky fades into a grey fog and then into deep, solid black. Or perhaps you fall below the kill plane, the boundary of existence. There is no pain, only a sudden, sharp sound, the breaking apart of the avatar. Visualize your character separating into its component blocks. Head, torso, arms, legs. They drift apart gently, tumbling in slow motion. It is a disassembly of the self. And then, instant resurrection. You're back at the top, back at the spawn, whole and new. The void is not a pit, it is a reset button. It is the bottom of the toy box, the place where things go to be recycled. It is a reminder that in this world there is no end, only a looping return to the beginning. As you reappear at the spawn, breathing in the fresh digital air, you become aware of a melody drifting on the wind. It is a synthesizer tune, majestic and sweeping. We are listening to the original soundtrack, specifically the anthem known as Wind of Fjords. Imagine a sound that is both medieval and futuristic. It starts with a rolling, arpeggiated harp splashing like water. Then the strings come in, synthetic, resonant, climbing a scale that feels like ascending a mountain. This music is the sonic wallpaper of the early universe. It played in thousands of games, a public domain hero that became the hymn of a generation. To hear it is to be transported back to a simpler time of untextured bricks and simple goals. It evokes a feeling of grandeur, of epic quests undertaken in blocky landscapes. It is calming, repetitive, and deeply nostalgic. It floats in the background, never demanding attention but always there, colouring the silence with a sense of adventure. It is the sound of creativity itself, the background hum of a million minds building castles in the sky. Inspired by the music you decide to create, you open a special interface, a tool that looks like a wand with a rainbow tip. We are holding the building tools. Visualize the world overlaying with a new geometry. You click on a block, a wall, a tree, a stone. Suddenly it is encased in a selection box, a cage of thin blue neon lines. Handles appear, spheres for resizing, cones for moving, rings for rotating. This is the power of the architect. You grab a blue sphere and pull. The stone stretches, elongating into a pillar. You grab a green cone and lift. The pillar rises into the air, defying gravity. You change the colour, selecting a palette that opens like a fan. You paint the pillar a deep marble white. You change the material, turning plastic into granite. The sounds are subtle clicks and whooshes. It is a tactile manipulation of reality. You are moulding the world as if it were clay. There is a flow state here, a rhythm of select, move, resize, paint. You are not just playing in the world, you are writing it, one part at a time, constructing your imagination in real time. As you build, you glance to the top right corner of your vision. There, hanging like a scoreboard in the sky, is the leaderboard. It is a semi-transparent rectangle, a list of names. Yours is there, highlighted, perhaps in gold. Next to it are numbers, KOs, wipes, points, or currency. This list is the social spine of the server. It tells you who is with you. You see names of strangers from across the ocean. You see their icons. Watch the numbers tick up. It is a slow, satisfying climb. You collect a coin, and the number beside your name jumps. It is a visual representation of progress, but more than that, it is a sense of community. You're on a list with others. You're part of a team, the red team in a bright crimson box, the blue team in azure. Even if you never speak a word, this list connects you. It says, we are all here, in this specific instance of reality, sharing this experience. It is a gentle competition, a roster of the dreaming souls currently inhabiting this digital space. Finally, after hours of building, driving and eating pizza under the digital sun, the time comes to leave. You press the key, the menu opens. You move your mouse to the button marked Leave, but before you go, dwell on the loading spinner that bridges the gap. When you travel between worlds, or when you first arrive, you see a symbol in the center of a dark screen. It is a square, the Roblox logo tilted slightly. It spins. Watch the rhythm of the spin. It is smooth, hypnotic. It pulses with a faint light. This is the tunnel. This is the mesmerizing waiting room between the waking world and the dream. It is a space of pure anticipation. As it spins, the assets are loading. The textures of the grass, the sounds of the wind, the geometry of the castles. It is knitting the universe together for you. It is a promise that something new is coming. And as you watch it spin, round and round in the quiet dark of the transition, you feel a sense of peace. The world is being prepared for you. The dream is buffering, and you're floating in the safety of the Connect, ready to drift into whatever wonder comes next. And as the hypnotic spin of the loading icon slows and dissolves, fading like a smoke ring into the clear air of a new reality, we find ourselves standing before a barrier of shimmering light. It is a door, but not one made of wood or iron. It is constructed of golden photons, humming with a low, inviting resonance. We're observing the phenomenon of the Game Pass, and specifically, the VIP room. Visualize this golden curtain. Above it, floating in text that glows like neon, are the letters VIP. To the ordinary traveller, this is a wall, a solid stop. But for the one who holds the pass, it is merely a mist. Imagine the sensation of walking through it. There is no resistance, only a warm tingle as you pass through the filter of value. On the other side, the air feels different. It is rarefied, exclusive. Inside this sanctuary, the floor might be paved with diamond plate. There are pedestals arranged in a semicircle, and rotating slowly atop them are the tools of the gods. Rainbow carpets that fly, sparklers that never burn out, and coils of infinite spring. The VIP room is a space of quiet luxury amidst the chaos of the public server. The noise of the outside world is muffled here. You're in the inner sanctum, a lounge for the dedicated. You might sit on a velvet throne, watching the other players through a one-way glass window, observing the game from a place of comfort. It is the feeling of having a key to the executive suite, a digital upgrade that transforms the world from a challenge into a playground of enhanced ease and status. From the golden light of the VIP room, our mind drifts back in time, stripping away the gold, the diamonds and the custom names, until we are left with the simplest form of existence. We conjure the memory of the guest, visualize a figure standing in the mist of 2008. They have no name, only a title followed by a string of numbers. Guest 1337, Guest 666, Guest 99. Their appearance is iconic in its humility. They wear the Roblox jacket, a black torso with a grey logo, simple blue jeans, and a head as smooth and pale as the moon. They are the travellers who passed through without staying, the spirits who visited the dream but left no footprints. To play as a guest was to be a phantom. You had no inventory to save, no friends to list. You existed only in the moment. When you logged off, your history vanished, dissolved like breath on a mirror. There is a melancholy beauty to these figures. They represent the pure, unburdened observer. They spoke in limited phrases, often unable to chat, communicating instead through the universal language of jumping. Watch one of them now in your mind's eye, a silent, smiling figure wandering through a theme park or a battlefield, exploring with wide eyes before vanishing back into the void from which they came. They are the ancestors of every player, the blank slate from which all other identities were written. Now let us focus on that pale, moon-like face. In the beginning it was blank, but soon the artist of the ether began to paint upon it. We turn our gaze to the face, the mask of emotion that an avatar wears. Consider the chill face. Visualize the expression. The eyes are half closed, heavy-lidded, resting in a state of permanent relaxation. The mouth is curved into a small, confident, slightly lopsided smile. To wear this face is to project an aura of unshakable calm. No matter if the world is exploding, no matter if the building is falling, the chill face remains serene. It tells the world, I am at peace, I am flowing with the river. Contrast this with the winning smile. It is wide, showing rows of perfect white teeth. It is an expression of aggressive happiness, a beam of joy that can be seen from across the map. Or the check-it face, with its raised eyebrow and confident smirk, the face of a mischief maker. These are not just textures, they are the emotional anchors of the avatar. Since the body does not blink and the mouth does not move when speaking, this painted expression becomes the totality of the soul's mood. It is a permanent state of being, a mask that defines how you interact with the universe. Whether you're the stoic warrior, the joyful fool, or the cool observer, your painted eyes watching the simulation unfold without a single flutter. In the hand of this smiling avatar, a tool materializes. It is a weapon, but in this dream, it is a dance partner. We are holding the linked sword. This is not a realistic blade of steel and grit. It is a construct of pure geometry. The blade is a long grey rectangle. The hilt is a simple crossguard. But the magic lies in the physics of the lunge. Visualize the movement. You do not swing this sword with your arm. You click, and your entire body is propelled forward. Click. You float. It is a defiance of gravity. For a split second you are weightless, gliding forward in a horizontal line, the sword extended. Shing. The sound is metallic, sharp, and clean. It rings out like a bell. The combat here is not violent, it is rhythmic. It is a ballet of spacing. Two dancers circling each other, lunging and retreating, floating and landing. The sparkles that emit from the sword, tiny, white stars, trail behind the blade like fairy dust. To wield the linked sword is to understand the unique gravity of this world, where a weapon is also a method of transportation, a way to glide through the air in short, sharp bursts of focused intent. From the sharp ring of the sword, we transition to a sound that is deeper, heavier, and musical. We observe the player carrying the boombox. Imagine walking through a quiet town square, and slowly, a melody begins to fade in. It starts as a whisper, a bass line thrumming in the distance. As you walk closer to another traveller, the sound expands, creating a sphere of audio around them. They're carrying a large, rectangular device on their shoulder, the speakers pulsing with a visual vibration. The boombox is a mobile hearth. It brings the party to the player. It might be playing a high-energy techno track, the beats syncing with the flashing neon lights of the level. Or it might be playing a slow, vaporwave track, slowing down time around it. This item transforms the space. It turns a silent lobby into a dance floor. It turns a lonely mountain peak into a concert venue. You can see the sound waves represented by the gathering of other players, drawn to the music like moths to a flame. They stop, they listen, they dance. It is the sharing of a vibe, a broadcasting of personal taste into the public airwaves, creating a temporary bubble of rhythm that moves wherever the carrier walks. The rhythm of the music matches the rhythm of the ground beneath our feet. We step onto a surface that is moving. We're standing on a conveyor belt. In the factory tycoons and the obstacle courses, these are the rivers of the solid world. Visualize a strip of grey rubber marked with black arrows pointing forward. You step onto it. You do not need to walk. The ground carries you. There is a deep hypnotic hum to these belts. Vroom, vroom, vroom. It is the sound of industry. Feel the sensation of passive travel. You stand still, your hands at your sides, but the world slides past you. You're a package on the line. You watch the walls drift by. You watch the machinery of the level operating around you. Sometimes the belt is fast, flinging you off at the end with a burst of momentum. Sometimes it is slow, a leisurely ride through a processing plant. It is a surrender of control, a trust in the path laid out before you. You're flowing with the current of the code, carried gently toward the next destination without lifting a finger. The belt carries us to a small circular pad on the floor. It glows with a bright, oscillating light. We step onto it, and the world vanishes. We've entered the teleporter. This is the instant transition. In the physical world, travel is distance divided by time. Here, distance is irrelevant. Visualize the moment of contact. Your foot touches the pad. There is a sound, a rising sci-fi whoosh, like a breath being inhaled sharply. Then, a flash of white. For a microsecond, you are nowhere. You're in the gap between coordinates, and then, snap. You're somewhere else. You were in a forest. Now you are on the moon. You were in a lobby. Now you're in the arena. The transition is jarring yet seamless. It creates a sense of a disjointed, dreamlike geography. The world is not a continuous continent, but an archipelago of islands connected by these wormholes. The teleporter is the stitch that holds the disparate parts of the dream together. It allows you to traverse miles in a blink, turning the universe into a series of rooms that are all adjacent to one another, separated only by a flash of light. We rematerialize from the white flash, not in an arena, but in a dense, dark woods. A campfire crackles before us. A school bus sits parked nearby. We have entered the genre of the story game. The atmosphere here is scripted tension. You're with a group of 12 others. You all sit on logs around the fire. Text appears on the screen, narrated by a guide. It's getting late, the text says. We should set up camp. The skybox turns a deep bruised purple, then black. This is a communal narrative. It is like a digital sleepover. You're all experiencing the same story at the same time. You act out the beats. You go to the tent to sleep. The screen fades to black. Sounds of wolves howling play in your headphones. Ah woo! You wake up. One player is missing. The mystery deepens. These games are rhythmic loops of day and night, safety and danger. The bus ride is always bumpy. The bridge always collapses. But there is comfort in the tropes. It is a shared performance, a play where you're both the audience and the actor. You huddle together in a cave while the rain pours down outside, feeling the warmth of the group against the cold script of the monster lurking in the dark. In this scripted world, there are those who hold power over the script itself. We look up to see a figure flying through the air, trailing a cape of particles. This is the admin, wielding the admin commands. Visualize a small chat bar opening. The user types a command that begins with a colon. Fly. Instantly, the laws of physics are suspended for them. They rise into the air, hovering like a superhero. They type sparkles, and their body is wreathed in white light. These commands are the spells of this reality. Invisible, fire, big head. To witness an admin is to witness a wizard at work. They can change the time of day, turning noon to midnight with a keystroke. They can summon items from thin air. There is a sense of awe in watching these modifications happen in real time. It reveals the pliable nature of the dream. The world is not set in stone. It is made of data that can be rewritten on the fly. When you see a player floating above the chaos, watching silently, you know you are in the presence of an architect, someone who has peered behind the curtain and taken hold of the strings. Finally, we turn our attention to the self, to the identity we present to these wizards and warriors. we enter the dressing room of the mind, the saved outfit. Imagine standing before a mirror that holds infinite reflections. You're currently a knight in shining armor, but with a single click, you wish to be something else. You open your menu, you select Outfit 2. The transformation is instantaneous. The armor vanishes, replaced by the casual clothes of a city dweller, a hoodie, sneakers, headphones. Or perhaps Outfit 3, a creature of the deep sea with fins and scales. This is the fluidity of the soul in the metaverse. You're not bound to one form, you're a shapeshifter. You have a library of selves, each one curated for a different world, a different mood. The act of saving an outfit is an act of preserving a version of yourself. You spend hours adjusting the hat, the accessories, the colours, until the harmony is perfect. Then you freeze it, naming it winter, formal, or cyber. It is a wardrobe that fits in your pocket. It allows you to adapt to the dream instantly. To change from a business suit to a spacesuit is as easy as having a thought. It is the ultimate freedom of expression, the ability to shed your skin and be reborn in a new guise, ready for whatever new world the teleporter offers next. Rest now in this new form. Feel the texture of your digital clothes, the weight of the items in your hotbar, the calm expression on your painted face. The dream continues to unfold, and while that saved outfit rests in the digital wardrobe, a frozen snapshot of your identity, there is always the allure of the new, the potential of what you could become. We drift now into the vast boutique experience of the try-on feature. Visualize the moment of indecision and curiosity. You're browsing the infinite catalogue, the racks of the cloud. You see a hat, perhaps a top hat wreathed in purple flames, or a pair of antlers made of crystal. It looks beautiful in the picture, but how will it sit upon your specific brow? You press the button marked Try On. The camera zooms in. The world around you fades into a blurred background, placing your avatar in the center of a spotlight. The item materializes on your head. This is the dressing room of the soul. You click and drag your mouse, rotating your character slowly, 360 degrees. Watch how the item moves with you. Does the crystal catch the light? Do the flames obscure your vision? It is a moment of private vanity, a test drive of aesthetics. You can try on a pair of wings that span 10 feet, feeling the phantom weight of them on your back. You can equip a new face, seeing how it changes the entire demeanor of your presence. There is no cost here, only imagination. You're standing in front of a magic mirror that allows you to wear 1,000 costumes in a single minute, cycling through identities, searching for the one that feels like the truest reflection of the dreamer within. As you browse these items, you notice that some possess a distinct aura, a border of value that separates them from the common cloth. We turn our gaze to the economy of the limited item. In a world of infinite replication, where a shirt can be copied 1,000,000 times, the limited is an artifact of scarcity. Visualize a label on the item's page, a small green tag that says serial just 34 of 100. This number gives the object a soul. It anchors it in history. It means that this specific hat, this specific fedora or crown is unique. It was minted. It has an owner. To hold a limited is to hold a piece of the platform's history. Picture the Valkyrie helm, its smooth curves and feathered wings. It is not just a helmet, it is a currency. Its value rises and falls like the tides of an ocean, driven by the desire of the community. There is a quiet thrill in watching the graph of its value, a line tracing the heartbeat of demand. Users trade these items not just for fashion, but for the art of the deal. Imagine the trade window opening, a balanced scale. You place your item on the left, the other dreamer places theirs on the right. You weigh the history, the rarity, the aesthetic. It is a slow, deliberate exchange, a barter system of digital antiques where patience and knowledge are the coins of the realm. From the silent exchange of goods, we move to the auditory evolution of connection. We enter the sphere of spatial voice. For years, the metaverse was a place of text, of bubbles popping in silence. But now, the air carries sound. visualize a small microphone icon above an avatar's head. It is not a broadcast to the entire world. It is intimate. It obeys the laws of physics. When you're far away from a friend, their voice is a faint whisper, a murmur carried on the wind. As you walk closer, the sound swells, becoming clear and present. This technology transforms a crowd into a soundscape. Imagine walking through a busy market in a game. You hear snippets of a dozen conversations, laughter to your left, a greeting to your right, a song being hummed behind you. It is the hum of humanity. If you turn your head, your camera, the sound shifts from one ear to the other, grounding you in a three-dimensional acoustic space. It allows for secrets to be whispered in a corner, or for a speech to be given from a podium. It brings the texture of breath and tone into the polygon world, reminding us that behind every blocky figure is a living, breathing person, their voice travelling through miles of wire to resonate in your headphones. But when words fail, or when the music is too loud, the body takes over. We observe the universal language of the emote. You're standing in a lobby, waiting for the game to start. The silence stretches. You open a radial menu, a wheel of options. You select Dance. Instantly, your avatar begins to move. It is a rhythmic, looping animation. Maybe it is a side-to-side step, a wave of the arms, or a complex break dance. Watch the synchronization. Another player sees you dancing. They approach. They open their menu. They select the same dance. Now there are two of you, moving in perfect unison. Then a third joins, then a fourth. Without a single word being typed, a flash mob is born. There is a profound joy in this shared movement. It is a collective agreement to be silly, to fill the empty time with rhythm. You might see a line of players doing the conga, snaking their way through the level. You might see a group pointing at the sunset. These gestures, the wave, the cheer, the laugh, are the sign language of the platform, bridging language barriers and age gaps, allowing everyone to participate in the simple, primal joy of moving to the beat of an invisible drum. The dance concludes, and we seek refreshment. We travel to a world of pastel colours, polished counters, and the smell of steamed milk. We are entering the roleplay cafe. Visualize a building made of glass and smooth white brick. The sign above the door says frappe or pastries. Inside, the atmosphere is one of organised coziness. There is a counter filled with donuts, croissants, and cake pops, all rendered in delicious detail. Behind the counter stand the baristas. They are not NPCs, they are players, often wearing a uniform dedicated to the craft of service. Approach the register. The interaction is a script of politeness. "Welcome. What can I get for you today?" you type. "A vanilla latte, please," you reply. Watch the barista work. They move to the machine. They pick up a cup. They hold it under the dispenser. Whoosh. The cup fills. They add a lid. They add cream. Then they use the hand-to tool. The item floats from their hand to yours. There is a deep satisfaction in this simulation of commerce. It is low stakes. It is a game of manners. You sit at a booth by the window, holding your virtual coffee. The chat is filled with the murmur of orders and greetings. It is a sanctuary of civility, a place where the only objective is to serve and to be served, to maintain the atmosphere of a bustling, friendly coffee shop, where it is always a rainy afternoon and the milk is always warm. From the slow sipping of coffee, we accelerate. We step into a world of neon geometry and high-tempo beats. We are entering the trance state of Speedrun 4. The world here is stripped of detail. There are no trees, no furniture, no textures. There are only blocks of pure, solid colour floating in a void. Level 1 is a bright, grassy green. Level 2 is a stark, desert yellow. Level 3, a cool, icy blue. The goal is momentum. You begin to run. Your avatar moves faster than normal. The music kicks in, a fast driving electronic track that syncs with your heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. You jump. You land. You jump again. You do not stop. To stop is to break the flow. The experience becomes a blur of colour and motion. You are a ribbon of light winding through the course. The sensory shift between levels is profound. You finish the green level and step through a white portal. Instantly the music changes. The colour palette shifts to purple. The mood darkens. You're running on amethyst bridges over a dark void. It is a hypnotic experience, a flow state generator. Your fingers move on the keys by instinct, reacting to the gaps in the platforms without conscious thought. It is a meditation of speed, a visual kaleidoscope where the only thing that matters is the rhythm of the jump and the blur of the horizon rushing to meet you. As we run, we accumulate power. In other worlds, this accumulation leads to a pivotal moment, a decision to sacrifice everything for growth. We are observing the rebirth button. You're playing a simulator. You have collected 1 billion coins. Your backpack is full. You have reached the maximum level. You stand before a button, usually glowing with a mystical pulsing energy. It asks a question. Do you wish to rebirth? To rebirth is to reset. You will lose your coins. You will lose your size. You will go back to being a novice. But in exchange, you will gain a multiplier. You will be stronger. Visualize the act of pressing the button. There is often a massive visual effect. A shockwave of light, a pillar of fire, a celestial chime. Boom, you're small again, you're back at the start, but now, when you pick up a coin, it is worth double. There is a philosophical beauty in this loop. It teaches that to grow, one must sometimes let go of what they have hoarded. It turns the gameplay into a spiral rather than a straight line. You're walking the same path, but you are walking it with new eyes and new power. It is the cycle of reincarnation gamified, a rhythmic expansion and contraction of the self, always returning to the beginning to start the journey anew but better. In this journey of constant return, we often look for a place to leave a mark, a message for those who will come after us. We find the group wall. Navigate in your mind to the homepage of a community, a fan club, a military clan, a fashion house. Beneath the banner and the description there is a section for voices. This is the wall. It is a slow-moving river of text. When is the next training, asks one. I love the new update, says another. Can I be promoted, asks a third. This is the bulletin board of the tribe. Unlike the live chat, which vanishes in seconds, the wall is semi-permanent. It is a guest book. Visualize the act of posting. You type your message. You press post. It appears at the top, pushing the history down. It is a way of saying, I am part of this. For the leaders of the group, the shout box is a megaphone. When they type there, it appears with a red megaphone icon. It is a call to arms, an announcement of a party, a declaration of news. It is the town crier's bell. Reading the wall is like reading the pulse of a community, seeing the excitement, the questions, and the shared culture of 1,000 different people united under a single banner. Above these posts and above the heads of the players in-game hangs a label of status. We focus on the overhead rank tag Gi. Visualize looking at a crowd of players. Above each head, floating like a halo, is a line of text. For most, it might say guest or member in a soft grey font. But then, you see someone with a tag in bold, bright red. Owner, or a deep, authoritative blue. Captain. This floating text creates an instant social structure. It transforms a chaotic room into a hierarchy. When someone with a high-ranking tag enters the room, the energy shifts. Players gather around. The tag commands respect. It signifies time served, loyalty, or creation. Sometimes these tags are decorative. VIP in gold letters, sparkling with particle effects. Sometimes they are functional, showing a health bar or a level. But primarily they are name tags that you cannot lose. They float faithfully above you, announcing your identity and your standing to the world before you even speak a word. It is a visual sorting system, allowing you to read the room at a glance, knowing who is a guide, who is a leader, and who is a fellow traveller. Finally, when we find a world that resonates with us, a game that feels like home, we perform a small ritual of preservation. We click the favorite star. Visualize the game's page. Under the green play button, there is a small outline of a star. You move your cursor over it. You click. The star fills with a solid, warm yellow colour. It is a quiet action, but a meaningful one. You have bookmarked this dream. You have added it to your personal constellation. By favouring a game, you're ensuring that you can find it again in the infinite library. You're telling the creator, I enjoyed this. This brought me peace. This brought me joy. Imagine your favourites list as a shelf of well-loved books. Here is the pizza place where you work on Tuesdays. Here is the obstacle course you run when you need focus. Here is the showcase of the rainy apartment where you sit to think. It is a curated map of your happiness. To look at your favourites is to look at a history of your own enjoyment, a collection of portals that are always ready to whisk you away to your preferred state of mind. Rest in the glow of that yellow star. Feel the comfort of knowing your favourite worlds are safe, saved, and waiting for you. The list is long, and the night is deep and woven into that list of favourites. Hidden among the bustling cities and the chaotic obstacle courses, there is often a desire for a deeper, more profound silence. We drift now toward the luxury of the private server. Visualize a world that is usually teeming with life, a pizza parlour filled with chefs, or a jailbreak city filled with sirens. Now imagine purchasing a key to a parallel dimension of that same world. You click the button to generate a private server. You name it Sanctuary. When you enter, the geometry is identical. The buildings stand tall, the trees sway, the lights flicker on, but there is no one else. You are the sole inhabitant of a ghost town. There is a unique, melancholic beauty in exploring a multiplayer map alone. The silence is heavy and sweet. You can walk down the centre of the highway without fear of traffic. You can explore the back rooms of the bank without a guard stopping you. It is a kingdom of one. This feature allows you to control the population, to invite only your closest confidants, or to remain in total solitude. It turns a public playground into a private garden. You can hear the ambient sounds that are usually drowned out by the chatter of the crowd, the hum of the vending machines, the distant lap of the ocean waves. It is a moment to appreciate the architecture of the dream without the distraction of the dreamers, a meditative walk through a world paused just for you. As you explore these quiet, shadowed corners of your private kingdom, you might find yourself in places where the light of the skybox does not reach. Here, you must rely on a tool as old as the platform itself. We reach into our inventory and withdraw the lantern. Visualize the object. It is rustic, perhaps made of iron and glass, hanging from a handle. Or maybe it is a modern, tactical flashlight. When you click to activate it, a cone of illumination cuts through the gloom. Watch how the light interacts with the world. It is not a flat brightness. It is dynamic. It paints the walls in a warm yellow glow, casting long, dancing shadows behind the furniture. The beam of light reveals the texture of the dark. You might be exploring a cave system, the damp grey stone walls glittering as your light passes over them. The darkness presses in from all sides, but you are contained within this safe bubble of visibility. There is a primal comfort in this. It is the campfire in the wilderness. If you are holding a flashlight, the beam might be stark white, a circle of clarity that shakes slightly as your avatar breathes. It focuses your attention. You're no longer looking at the whole world. You're looking only at what matters, one illuminated step at a time. The sound of the switch, click, is the sound of pushing back the unknown, carrying your own personal sun into the depths of the earth. Sometimes, in your exploration of these heights and depths, gravity asserts its dominance in a way that is not frightening, but comical and loose. We surrender now to the state of ragdoll physics. In the standard simulation, your avatar is rigid, held together by the strength of its joints. But in certain moments, a trip, a fall, or a specific key press, the muscles give way. You become a doll made of cloth. Visualize the tension leaving the body. The arms go limp, the knees buckle, you tumble. There is a profound relaxation in watching this tumble. You might slide down a long grassy hill, your limbs flailing gently, rolling over and over. There is no pain, only physics. You bounce off a rock, you spin, you come to a rest at the bottom of the valley, lying in a heap of tangled geometry. It is a slapstick ballet. It reminds us that these bodies are not flesh and blood, but objects subject to the playful laws of the engine. To ragdoll is to let go of control completely, to allow the world to carry you, to push you, to fold you. It is a moment of total passivity, a brief humorous nap in the middle of the action, before you snap back to attention, dust yourself off and stand tall once more. From the shapelessness of the ragdoll, we transition to the deliberate reshaping of the self. We step onto a glowing pad on the floor and engage the morph. Visualize a platform, perhaps pulsing with a faint red or green light. It is labelled wolf, baby, or dragon. You walk onto it. There is no complex menu, just immediate transformation. One moment you are a blocky human, the next you are something else entirely. The camera shifts. If you become a baby, the world suddenly grows immense. Tables become roofs, stairs become mountains. You crawl, your perspective lowered to the floorboards. If you become a dragon, the camera soars upward. You have wings, you take up space, you can breathe fire. This is not just a costume change, it is a shift in being. You inhabit the movement of the creature. A wolf morph might give you a loping, four-legged run. A ghost morph might make you translucent and floaty. It is the ultimate playground of identity, allowing you to try on a species like a coat. You can spend hours just stepping on different pads, cycling through forms, warrior, wizard, creature, object, feeling the fluidity of your own digital existence. As you shift forms, you may find yourself seeking a tribe, a group to belong to within the game's logic. We drift toward the concept of the team door. Imagine a hallway with 3 distinct barriers. One is a wall of shimmering red laser light. Another is a field of deep blue energy. The third is a vibrant yellow. These are the membranes of allegiance. To choose a team, you do not sign a paper. You simply walk through the light. Visualize the moment of passing. You approach the red door. As your body passes through the energy field, a change occurs instantly. Your clothing transforms. Your shirt becomes a red uniform. Your name on the leaderboard shifts from the grey lobby list to the red column. You're now red team. You have been sorted. On the other side of the door lies the team base. It is a sanctuary shared with others who wear your colour. There is a camaraderie here. You're safe from the blue team. You're protected by the walls of your colour. If you wish to defect to change your life, you simply walk back out and pass through the blue door. It is a fluid loyalty, a choice made with footsteps. It simplifies the conflict of the world into primary colours, organising the chaos of the server into clear cooperative families, separated only by a thin curtain of coloured light. Deep within these team bases, the work of construction begins. We pick up a tool that is a relic of the ancient times, a symbol of creation itself. We hold the trowel. In the modern era, we have complex editors, but let us remember the trowel. It is a simple tool, a flat metal blade with a wooden handle. In the classic build-to-survive worlds, this is your wand. You click, clink, a wall appears. It is a simple, grey, brick wall, appearing instantly where you pointed. There is a rhythm to this masonry. Click, click, click. You're laying a fortress. You can spawn a wall, a floor, or a stair. The structures are rudimentary, blocky, and raw, but there is a deep satisfaction in this instant architecture. You are raising a shelter against the night. You are enclosing space. The sound of the trowel is the sound of industry. You're working with the fundamental atoms of the universe, placing them one by one to create a home. It is a tactile, rhythmic process, a digital bricklaying that feels solid and dependable, protecting you and your team from whatever lurks in the darkness outside your walls. As you build your walls, you notice movement in the distance. It is a figure, but it does not move like a player. It does not jump or spin. It walks with a steady, calculated purpose. We're observing the NPC and the pathfinding service. Visualize a computer-controlled character. Maybe it's a customer walking into your store, or a zombie shuffling toward your base. Watch how it moves. It encounters a wall. It does not stop. It turns. It calculates a new route. This is the invisible brain of the server. You can see the logic at work. It finds the shortest distance between 2 points. It navigates stairs. It avoids cliffs. There is a calmness to these entities. They are single-minded. They do not get distracted by the chat or the scenery. They have a destination. To watch a crowd of NPCs navigating a complex maze is to watch a flowing river of code. They split around obstacles and rejoin, moving like water. They bring life to the empty spaces, a simulated population that follows the rules of the road, creating the illusion of a bustling, living society that functions even when you're standing still. Sometimes, to interact with these beings, you must speak to them, but not with a keyboard. We approach the dialogue bubble. You walk up to a shopkeeper or a quest giver. Above their head floats a question mark or a chat icon. You click it. The camera zooms in slightly. A bubble appears, crisp and white. "Hello, traveller. Would you like to buy a sword?" Below the text, choices appear. 1. Yes, please. 2. No, thank you. 3. Tell me about this place. This is the branching dialogue. It is a conversation tree. You select an option, and the NPC responds instantly. It is a quiet, turn-based interaction. There is no rush. You can read the lore of the world at your own pace. The text types out, tick, 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 letter by letter. It feels like reading a living book. By choosing different paths, you unlock different secrets. It is a way of engaging with the history of the dream, a polite interrogation of the spirits that inhabit the code, learning their stories one click at a time. To add beauty to these stories, the creators sprinkle magic dust into the air. We turn our eyes to the particle emitter. This is the engine of atmosphere. Visualize a treasure chest. It doesn't just sit there, it radiates. Tiny glowing stars float upward from it, fading as they rise. This is a particle system. Or picture a fire. It is not a solid block of orange, it is a fountain of textures, flame shapes, smoke puffs, and embers, rising and twisting. Focus on a single particle. It is a 2D image, perhaps a snowflake. It spawns, it drifts down, it spins slowly, it shrinks, and it vanishes. Now multiply that by 1,000. You have a blizzard. The emitters create the weather, the magic, the mood. They are the confetti of the universe. Walking through a field of floating hearts or standing under a waterfall of blue droplets creates a sense of immersion. These particles are weightless, intangible, yet they give the world its vibrancy. They are the visual spice, the glittering dust that turns a static collection of blocks into a living, breathing, magical environment. Finally, you wish to preserve this magic. You want to freeze the particles in mid-air to capture the sunset before it fades. You reach for the screenshot. You press the key, often print screen. For a microsecond, the universe freezes. The UI, the health bars, the chat, the names, vanishes if you have hidden it. You're left with a pure image. Think of the sound of a shutter snapping. In this world, it is silent, but the memory is saved. You're acting as a photographer of dreams. You frame the shot. You adjust the camera angle to get the light hitting your avatar's face just right. You capture the moment you reach the top of the mountain, or the moment you finished your house. These images are stored in a folder deep within your computer. Years from now, you will find them. You will look at a grainy PNG of a blocky world, and you will be transported back. You will remember the friends who are in the frame, the game that no longer exists, the specific feeling of that Tuesday afternoon. The screenshot is the amber that traps the memory, preserving the fleeting digital light forever. And beneath that memory, beneath the particles and the walls, lies the foundation of everything, the base plate. Visualize the beginning. Before the trees, before the scripts, before the sky, there is only the base plate. It is a vast, flat square of grey studs. It stretches out, usually 512 by 512 studs. It is the canvas. There is a profound minimalism here. It represents pure potential. Every game you have ever played started as this grey square. It is the silence before the symphony. If you delete everything in a world, you return to the base plate. It is the bedrock. To stand on an empty base plate is to stand on the edge of creation, waiting for the first idea to drop from the sky. It is solid, grid-aligned, and ready. It is the humble, grey earth from which all these billion dreams have grown. Rest now on this flat, stable ground. The grey horizon stretches out before you, calm and empty, waiting for the next layer of the dream to be built. And as we stand upon the infinite grey expanse of the base plate, staring out into the horizon of pure potential, we realise that in this world, gravity is a choice, not a law. We turn our attention to the fundamental concept of anchoring. In the physical world, if you were to place a stone in the air and let go, it would fall. It would succumb to the heavy pull of the earth. But here, you have the power to freeze an object in space and time. Visualize a single white block. You lift it up into the sky, high above the grid. You check a small box in the properties panel, anchored. Now, let go. The block does not fall. It sits there, suspended in the ether, perfectly still. It is a monument to stasis. You can jump on it, push it, or blast it with rockets, but it will not budge. It has become a fixed point in the universe. Imagine a castle floating among the clouds. Every brick, every turret, every flag is held in place not by mortar or beams, but by this simple checkbox. It is a feeling of absolute stability. To anchor something is to say to the physics engine, this belongs here, this is immovable. It creates a sense of safety, a solid ground high in the air where you can stand and watch the world rotate below you, supported by nothing but the silent, unyielding will of the code. From this stillness, we begin to shape the block itself. In the early days, we were limited to squares and cylinders, but then came the magic of solid modelling, the art of the union. Visualize two blocks. One is solid, a cube of grey stone. The other is a translucent red block, a negative part. This red block represents empty space. It is a ghost, a shape of removal. You slide the red ghost into the grey stone. You select both. You command them to union. In a flash of calculation, the red block disappears, but it takes the stone with it. It has carved a perfect hole. You have created a window, an archway, or a tunnel. This is digital sculpting. It is the ability to subtract matter, to carve complex geometries out of simple primitives. Feel the satisfaction of the negate operation. It is like scooping ice cream or pressing a thumb into clay. You're not just stacking bricks anymore, you are moulding the environment. You can smooth the sharp edges, create hollow pipes, or build intricate lattices. The resulting object is a single unified piece, a testament to the marriage of positive and negative space, created in the quiet workshop of the builder's mind. But sometimes, the shape you desire is too complex for blocks to capture. You crave the smooth curve of a sports car or the organic twist of a tree branch. For this, we open the gateway to the mesh part. This is the importation of fluidity. Visualize a wireframe, a web of thousands of tiny triangles flowing like liquid silk. This is a 3D model created outside the dream, in the realm of Blender or Maya. When it's brought into Roblox, it brings a new texture to the reality. Run your hand along the fender of a luxury car in a driving simulator. It is not blocky. It is perfectly round, catching the light in a continuous sleek reflection. Look at the leaves of a tree. They are not squares, but complex organic shapes that flutter. The mesh part allows the hard digital edges of the universe to soften. It introduces the aesthetic of the curve. To place a mesh is to introduce a piece of high-definition art into a voxel world. It sits there, complex and beautiful. a statue of intricate geometry that defies the grid, inviting the eye to follow its lines and marvel at the smoothness of its form. As we admire the smooth curves of the mesh, we notice that the air around us is changing. The sharp clarity of the horizon is softening, fading into a gentle coloured haze. We're observing the atmosphere and fog. In the raw engine, the world goes on forever, sharp and jagged, but the creator adds fog to create mood and mystery. Visualize a thick white mist rolling in. The mountains in the distance do not just end, they dissolve. They fade into the colour of the sky. This effect creates a sense of scale. It tells you that the world is vast, vaster than you can see. In a horror game, the fog might be black and oppressive, hiding the monster until it is just a few feet away, creating a cosy, terrifying intimacy. In a showcase, the fog might be a soft morning gold, blending the sun and the hills into a dreamy watercolour painting. It softens the harshness of the digital render. It is the blur of distance, the atmosphere that wraps the world in a blanket of air. It allows you to focus on what is near, while the rest of the universe drifts in a beautiful semi-transparent slumber at the edge of your vision. Piercing through this fog, we see shafts of light descending from the heavens. These are the sun rays, the god rays of the lighting engine. Visualize looking up at the sun through the branches of a tree. The light does not just illuminate, it has volume. Beams of white gold energy stretch down, cutting through the shadows. When you move your camera, the rays shift, dancing through the leaves. There is a divine warmth to this effect. It turns a simple scene into a majestic one. It mimics the scattering of light in the real atmosphere, the way dust motes catch the afternoon glow. Walk through a forest at dawn with sun rays enabled. The light dapples the ground. You feel a sense of hope, of a new day breaking. It connects the skybox to the terrain, tying the celestial light source to the ground you walk on with tangible ribbons of brightness. It is a visual embrace, a reminder that the light in this world is not just a value in a script, but a living, moving presence that bathes the landscape in glory. As the light focuses your attention, so too does the camera itself. We drift into the cinematic effect of depth of field. Imagine holding a camera lens. You focus on a flower in the foreground. The flower is crisp, sharp, every pixel defined. But the castle in the background? It melts into a soft, creamy blur. This is the bokeh effect. In the metaverse, this effect is used to direct your gaze. It mimics the human eye. When you look at your avatar, the world behind you blurs out. It creates a sense of intimacy and scale. It makes the world feel like a miniature, a toy set that you are observing from above. Or it makes a conversation feel private, blurring out the chaotic crowd so that only you and your friend remain in focus. It transforms the flat screen into a window with depth, adding a layer of professional polish that makes every screenshot look like a photograph from a dream, perfectly composed and softly focused. Navigating through this beautiful blurred world, we encounter a challenge. An obstacle course stretches out before us. We jump, we climb, and then we land on a small neon-coloured pad. We have reached the checkpoint. Visualize this pad. It is usually a simple square, perhaps glowing red. You step onto it. Ping. The sound is subtle, a chime of registration. The colour changes instantly from red to green. This is the anchor of progress. It is a promise. It says, if you fall, I will catch you. The checkpoint is the save state of the physical journey. There is a profound relief in touching it. You have conquered the difficult jump. You have survived the spinning lasers. Now you can breathe. You can reset. It divides the impossible journey into manageable steps. It is a beacon of safety in a world of voids and hazards. To stand on a checkpoint is to stand on a conquered peak, looking back at the path you survived and looking forward to the next challenge, knowing that your progress is secured by the green glow beneath your feet. But what of the progress that spans days, weeks, or years? For that, we rely on the invisible vault known as the data store. You play a game for hours, you earn gold, you buy a house, you level up. Then you must sleep. You leave the game. The world vanishes. But where does your gold go? It is sent to the data store. Visualize a massive silent library in the cloud. A book with your name on it is pulled from the shelf. The scribe writes down your stats. Level 50. House. Blue. Gold. 1000. The book is closed and returned to the shelf. When you return the next day, or a year later, the book is opened again. The data loads. Your house reappears. Your gold is back in your pocket. This is the continuity of the soul. It allows you to build a legacy. It means that your time is never wasted, only stored. It is a bond of trust between the player and the server, a guarantee that the digital sweat of your brow will be remembered, waiting for you to pick up exactly where you left off, no matter how much time has passed in the waking world. Sometimes, the world needs to create more of something instantly. A wizard casts a spell, and a fireball appears. A tycoon factory produces a new box. This is the power of the clone. Visualize an object sitting in server storage, a hidden locker that players cannot see. It is a template, a perfect original coin. When the script calls for it, the universe makes a copy. This is not a transfer, it is a genesis. A duplicate pops into existence, identical in every way to the parent. Then another, then another. The clone function is the engine of abundance. It fills the world with arrows, with enemies, with raindrops. It creates the swarm. There is a biological rhythm to it, a cell dividing, and each clone is independent. The original remains safe in the locker, pristine and untouched, while its children go out into the world to interact, to fly, and eventually to fade away. It is the infinite supply, the magic trick that ensures the world never runs out of the things it needs to function. And finally, to keep this world from overflowing with clones and debris, there must be a gentle letting go. We observe the destroy function and the debris service. Imagine a rocket hits a wall. It explodes. Debris flies everywhere. Shards of stone, pieces of metal. If they stayed forever, the world would become cluttered, heavy, and slow. So, the universe has a janitor. Watch a piece of rubble on the ground. It sits there for a moment, having played its part. Then, slowly, it begins to fade. It turns transparent, and then it simply ceases to exist. It is wiped from the memory of the computer. This is not death. It is cleanup. It is the maintenance of order. The script says, exist for 5 seconds, then vanish. It is a lesson in impermanence. The arrow that missed you, the wheel that fell off the car, the empty pizza box, they all dissolve back into the void. It keeps the dream running smoothly. It clears the stage for the next act. It is a peaceful, invisible process that ensures the world remains fresh, light, and ready for new creations, washing away the old to make room for the new. Rest now in the clean, uncluttered space of the simulation. The fog rolls in gently, the sun rays warm the ground, and your progress is safely stored in the library of the cloud. The dream is stable, and while the debris of the old world fades into the invisible recycling bin of the code, making way for the new, we observe that not all movement in this universe is sudden or destructive. There is a specific magic dedicated to the art of the smooth transition, a system known as the tween service. Visualize a heavy stone door in a temple. In the raw physics of the early days, it might have snapped instantly from closed to open, a jarring teleportation of matter. But with the tween, it glides. Watch the stone. It begins to move, slowly at first, overcoming inertia. Then it accelerates, sliding across the floor with a satisfying, consistent hum. As it reaches its destination, it slows down again, settling gently into place. This is the easing style. The universe offers a menu of these movements. Picture the bounce style. A button on a screen doesn't just appear. It pops up, overshoots its size slightly and then bounces back, vibrating like a plucked guitar string before finding its rest. It feels organic, rubbery, and alive. Or the sine wave, a motion as smooth as a pendulum swinging in oil. Creators use this service to choreograph the world. Lights don't just turn off, they fade into darkness like a setting sun. Platforms don't just jerk upwards, they levitate with the grace of a cloud. To watch a world built with tweens is to watch a ballet of geometry, where every object knows exactly how to move to be pleasing to the human eye, eliminating the jagged edges of reality and replacing them with a liquid, flowing grace. As we watch these objects glide and settle, we become aware of the entity that navigates them, the avatar itself. But we look deeper than the skin, past the clothing and the hats, to the very core of its being. We focus on the humanoid object, and specifically, the miracle of health regeneration. Visualize the green bar that floats in the top right corner of your vision, or perhaps directly above your head. It is the fuel gauge of the soul. In the heat of a challenge, a fall from a high ledge, or the touch of a lava block, the green recedes, it turns red. The bar shrinks, you are fragile. But then you find a safe corner, you stand still, listen to the silence of the recovery. The script buried deep within your character begins to work. It is a slow, rhythmic pulse. Every second, a small percentage of your vitality returns. The red creeps back toward green. It is a biological patience. There are no potions to drink, no bandages to apply. Simply the act of existing is enough to heal. It teaches a quiet resilience. No matter how low the bar drops, as long as a sliver of green remains, you can recover. You watch the bar fill up pixel by pixel until it is whole again. The damage of the past is erased, leaving no scars, only a fresh, full capacity to face the world once more. This healing vessel interacts with the world not just through sight, but through contact. We turn our attention to the touched event. In the physical world, touch is a sensation of pressure. Here, it is a signal. Visualize a floor made of tiles. Some are ordinary stone, but one is a kill part or a teleporter. How does the universe know when you are standing on it? It waits for the collision. Imagine the sole of your avatar's shoe. It is made of digital plastic. As it descends and grazes the surface of the tile, a spark is fired in the code. Signal sent. It is an invisible handshake between the player and the environment. "I am here," the foot says. "I acknowledge you," the floor replies. This happens thousands of times a minute. Every time you push a ball, every time you open a door with your body, every time you collect a coin. The coin spins, waiting for that specific moment of contact. When you brush against it, the touch event fires, the coin vanishes, and the sound plays. It is a universe that is hyper-aware of your physical presence, a tactile web where every surface is waiting to feel the weight of your arrival to trigger its hidden magic. But sometimes, contact is not fleeting. Sometimes, two things must stay together forever. We enter the rigid, dependable world of the weld and the weld constraint. Imagine a knight wearing a helmet. As the knight runs, jumps and tumbles, the helmet must stay perfectly aligned with the head. It cannot lag behind, it cannot float away. It must move as one with the skull. This is the work of the weld. Visualizing a weld is like visualizing an invisible, unbreakable rod connecting two atoms. You place a backpack on your avatar's back. You apply the weld. Snap. They are now a single physics object. The backpack relies on the spine. Where the spine turns, the backpack turns. There is a deep sense of trust in this mechanic. It is the glue of the metaverse. Without it, the world would fall apart into a pile of loose bricks. Cars would leave their wheels behind. Swords would slip from hands. The weld ensures that complex things, a tank, a plane, a dragon, move as a unified whole. It is the silence of things staying exactly where they are supposed to be, a guarantee that your possessions and your armor will never abandon you, no matter how fast you move through the void. While the weld holds things in rigid stasis, there is another joint that allows for freedom. We observe the hinge constraint and the motor. Visualize a saloon door. You push it. It swings open, squeaking slightly, and then swings back, wobbling until it finds its center. This is the hinge. It allows rotation along a single axis. It is the elbow of the architecture. Think of the wheels on a vehicle. They are not welded, they are motorized. They spin. The Motor 6D is the hidden joint inside the shoulder of your avatar. Watch your arm raise to wave. It rotates smoothly in the socket. This joint is the difference between a statue and a puppet. It allows for the articulation of life. In a carnival game, the giant Ferris wheel turns slowly, majestically, held aloft by a massive hinge axle. The physics engine calculates the weight, the momentum, the friction. There is a hypnotic quality to watching a spinning object in Roblox, a fan blade whirring, a merry-go-round turning. It is the machine coming to life, the rigid blocks finding the freedom to dance in circles. We leave the mechanics of joints and look at the surfaces they move. Sometimes, a wall is not just a wall, it is a canvas for information. We are looking at the surface UI. Visualize a flat grey concrete block. Now, imagine a digital screen embedded into the stone. It is not a projection, it is part of the texture. It displays a leaderboard scrolling with names, or it displays a sign, shop open. This is the surface UI. It wraps the user interface around the 3D world. Instead of floating on your glasses like a HUD, the information lives in the environment. You have to walk up to the sign to read it. You have to look at the menu on the wall of the cafe to order. It grounds the text in reality. Imagine a billboard on a highway in a driving simulator, changing images as you drive past. Or a computer screen in a sci-fi lab glowing with scrolling data. You can click buttons on these surfaces. It feels tactile. You reach out and press the buy button painted on the side of a vending machine. It blurs the line between the interface and the world, turning architecture into a book that can be read and interacted with. As we read the glowing signs, we notice the light that emanates from them. But light in this world comes in specific shapes. We drift to the concept of the point light and the spotlight. We spoke of the sun, which is infinite, but the point light is a cozy, local star. Visualize a small floating orb of light hanging in a lantern. It casts a perfect sphere of illumination. The center is bright, white hot, but as the light travels outward, it fades, turning soft and orange until it dissolves into the shadow. Now, change the fixture. Imagine a flashlight or a street lamp. This is the spotlight. It casts a cone. The edges are sharp. It cuts a wedge of visibility out of the darkness. There is a comfort in these artificial lights. Walking down a dark street in a role-play city, passing through pools of yellow light cast by the street lamps, creates a rhythm of safety and danger. Light, dark, light, dark. You can change the colour. A dungeon might be lit by point lights of eerie green. A disco might be lit by flashing spotlights of pink and blue. These lights are the paintbrushes of the night, allowing creators to carve out safe harbours and dramatic stages from the endless dark of the unlit void. The light dictates what we see, but the shape of the room dictates what we hear. We enter the invisible zones known as sound regions and the reverb effect. Walk through an open field. The sound of your footsteps is flat, deadened by the grass. The wind blows freely. Now step through a massive archway into a stone cathedral. Instantly, the audio landscape shifts. Your footsteps now have a tail. Click. Ick. Ick. They echo. The sound bounces off the virtual walls. This is the reverb properties of the sound service. The universe knows you're inside. It applies a filter to the audio, mimicking the acoustics of a cave, a bathroom, or a hangar. It creates a sense of volume. You can feel the height of the ceiling with your ears. If you walk into a carpeted library, the sound becomes muffled, cozy, and close. If you walk into a sewer pipe, it becomes tinny and metallic. This unseen shift immerses you deeper than graphics ever could. It wraps you in the sonic texture of the space, telling your brain exactly where you are by the way your own movements echo back to you. We have touched the walls and heard their echoes, but let us look closer at the surface itself. We observe the texture object and the art of tiling. A single block can be painted a colour, but a texture brings it to life. Visualise a pattern of bricks. If you stretch the block, the bricks might stretch, looking wrong. But with a texture object, the pattern repeats. Imagine a floor that stretches for miles. The texture ensures that the wooden planks or the marble tiles repeat seamlessly over and over, creating an infinite floor. It is the wallpaper of the world. You can stare at the pattern, a grid of rivets on a metal plate, or the weave of a fabric rug. It is hypnotic in its regularity. It adds a density of detail to the world. You're not walking on a flat grey square. You're walking on a mosaic of thousands of tiny images, stitched together perfectly by the engine so that you can never see the seam. It creates a sense of complexity and richness, turning simple geometry into a convincing material reality. Finally, after all the building, the welding, the lighting and the texturing, there comes the moment of truth. The creator steps back. They move their mouse to the top bar. They press the play button or run mode. This is the breath of life. Visualize the edit mode. Everything is still. The particles are frozen. The scripts are sleeping. The NPCs are statues. Then you click play. The universe wakes up. The physics engine engages. Gravity pulls the loose parts down. The scripts fire. Lights flicker on. Doors begin to swing. The music starts to play. The camera swoops down from the sky and enters the head of the avatar. You're no longer the architect hovering above. You're the inhabitant on the ground. There is a magical feeling in this transition. It is the Frankenstein moment. It's alive. The world you built is now a place you can walk in. You test the jumps. You open the doors. You see if the atmosphere feels right. It is the shift from imagination to experience. And if something is wrong, you press stop. The world freezes. You float back up. You tweak a light. You tighten a weld. And you press play again. It is the heartbeat of creation. Edit. Play. Edit. Play. A rhythmic cycle of refining the dream until it is ready to be shared with the sleepers of the world. Rest now in the pause between the edit and the play. The world is built. The lights are on. The echoes are waiting, and as the heartbeat of the play mode pulses, bringing motion to the stillness, we arrive at the final, most profound realization of all. We stand at the precipice of the 101st wonder, a truth that lies not in the code, nor in the pixels, but in the very essence of the experience itself. We turn the camera around, away from the landscape, away from the avatar, and point it directly at the source of the dream, you, the player. Consider the concept of the user ID. It is a string of numbers assigned to you the moment you first stepped into this universe. But it is so much more than a database entry. It is a vessel of time. Think of the years that have been poured into this digital vessel. The account is a museum of your own history. It holds the memory of the first friend you made in a pizza parlour, who is now perhaps grown and gone. It holds the ghost of the first house you built, crooked and strange, which no longer exist anywhere but in your mind. This platform is not merely a game engine. It is a collective childhood, a shared memory palace for a generation. The ultimate fact is that this universe is dead metal without the dreamer. The servers, vast humming racks of lights in a cold room, are merely the canvas. You are the paint. Every jump you took, every message you typed, every item you traded was a brushstroke that kept this galaxy alive. The metaverse is often spoken of as a future concept, a corporate buzzword, but here, in the quiet reality of Roblox, it has already existed for decades. It is a place where millions of souls learn to type, learn to trade, learn to build, and learn to say goodbye. It is a digital layer of reality where you grew up, a playground that expanded as your mind expanded. The 101st wonder is that the world we have explored tonight, the tycoons, the obbies, the showcases, is transient. It changes every day. But the feeling it gave you, the spark of creativity, the warmth of belonging, and the quiet satisfaction of the build, that is permanent. You are the ghost in the machine. You are the battery that powers the sun. The simulation does not exist to entertain you. It exists because of you. You are the architect, the explorer, and the memory keeper, the living soul wandering through a dream made of math, turning cold logic into warm, breathing life. And now, the time has come to leave the keyboard. The time has come to let the mouse rest. Visualize the screen before you. It is glowing with the vibrancy of a million worlds. The neon of the cities, the green of the forests, the blue of the oceans. But slowly, gently, you reach out and press the power button. Watch the light collapse. The image shrinks, folding in on itself, fading from bright white to a soft dying grey, and finally to black. The hum of the computer fan slows down. Whir, lower, lower, until it stops. Silence rushes into the room to fill the void. The digital world is gone. The pixels have scattered. The avatars are frozen in their idle animations, waiting for your return, safe in the stasis of the server. You're back in the physical world now. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the mattress. The bed is soft, real, and heavy. The air in the room is cool. The darkness behind your eyelids is not a skybox. It is the true, infinite void of rest. Let your breathing slow down. Match the rhythm of the fading world. Inhale, holding the memory of the flight. Exhale, releasing the tension of the climb. There is nothing left to build tonight. There are no more coins to collect, no more messages to type, no more walls to weld. The work is done, the project is saved. The data is stored securely in the cloud, watched over by the silent sentinels of the system. You can let go. You can drift away from the logic, away from the structure, away from the light. You're floating on a river that flows much slower than any physics engine. It is the river of deep biological sleep. Feel the heaviness in your limbs. Your hands, which commanded armies and built skyscrapers, are now still. Your eyes, which saw galaxies and voids, are now closed. The only sound is your own breath, a soft rhythmic wave washing onto the shore of consciousness. The 101 wonders we have gathered are not lost. They are tucked away in the library of your mind, glowing like soft embers in the hearth. They will be there when you wake, but for now, the screen is dark, the server is quiet, the universe has paused just for you, and now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.